Volume 1. Synopsis. Vampire, evil spirit, science and technology, potion, monster, biochemist, fortune teller, puppet Lin En transmigrated to this kind of mysterious world, becoming a monster pharmacist's apprentice. Fortunately, he has Golden Finger with him. Ding! You cured Miss Mimo's hated son, you obtained enduring medicine formula, and 1,500 skeleton coins, Miss Mimo's favorability plus 100. Ding! Your massage technique made the blood race princess feel physically and mentally happy, you obtained medicine. Eagle Vine's hand, zone 1,000, 500 skeleton coins, blood race princess's reliance plus 100. Ding! You had repaired the abstinence system puppet body damage. He obtained secret skill. Puppet technique, 500 skeleton coins, puppet lady favorability plus 200. In this monster-filled, evil spirit-less-than-dog dark world, he gradually reached the pinnacle of human life. Lin En, sorry, all root-level monster doctors, if you want to kill me, please ask first if my patient agrees. Chapter 1. I opened a cheat in another world. This is a mysterious other world. Vampires, werewolves, technology, potions, ghosts, bioengineered beings, divination, puppets, any terrifying element you can imagine exists in this world. You must carry a light when going outside. You cannot venture far. Beyond 10 meters from the main door, the darkness outside will swallow you whole. Whether those seeking medical help are humans, ghosts, or stitched monsters, you must remain calm. If you lose your composure, it will turn hostile toward you. In front of a shabby desk, Lin held a quill pen by the flickering lamplight. He was writing down the rules he had learned in the 2 years since he had transmigrated to this world. Lin, time's up. Hang the lamp outside and get ready to open for business. A hoarse voice that sounded like someone chewing on bones rang out. Lin shook his head. That voice belonged to the owner of their potion shop, the man who had saved him 2 years ago and now served as his teacher. Lin himself was the shop assistant in this potion store that operated in this strange world. Coming, Lin shouted, but at that moment, a cold, synthetic voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! Your teacher, Bloodsaw Maniac, has assigned you a task. Open for business, hang the soul lamp at the door. Completion rewards: skeleton coins X10, basic experience X5, pure human blood 100 ml. Lin was stunned. That voice was a system? Could it be that after 2 years in this world, he had finally awakened a cheat? However, he did not immediately investigate further because he knew that if he did not follow his teacher's orders at once, he would die. Lin quickly stepped out of the dim attic. He immediately saw his teacher dragging the corpse of an unknown creature, cut in half toward the nearby operating room. Crimson blood trailed a long streak across the moldy floor. Sputter, sputter soon, the shrill sound of an electric saw came from the operating room. That hoarse, chewing voice spoke again. After opening, sort out all the expired potions from yesterday and feed them to the little treasure in the backyard. Hurry up. Ding! Your teacher, Bloodsaw Maniac, has assigned you a task. Sort expired potions and feed them to the backyard's little treasure. Completion rewards: skeleton coins X10, little treasure favorability -10, household chores skill +1. Lin was shocked. He was right. This must be his system. Could it be capable of turning everything he encountered into system tasks? Listening to the chewing sound behind him, Lin calmed his expression. Creak, creak, the wooden floor beneath him emitted the piercing sound of age and neglect. Lin came to the front hall, grabbed an oil lamp from the corner, and twisted the wick adjustment. One drop after another of crimson blood dripped inside onto the wick. Whoosh! A crimson flame flickered to life. If you listened carefully, you could even hear faint, chilling screams from inside the oil lamp. Lin remained calm and carefully opened the door. Outside was utter darkness, faintly shrouded in mist. Occasionally, eerie laughter echoed from the dark. He kept calm, hung the oil lamp on the doorpost, illuminating the nearby dilapidated sign. Bloodsaw Potion Shop Ding, you have received. Skeleton coins X10, basic experience X5, pure human blood 100 ml. Lin immediately planned to turn around and return inside the potion shop. But at that moment, a low, sinister laugh came from the darkness. Hey, young man. Good morning. Do you have any useless junk to spare for this old lady? I'll reward you properly, haha. From the darkness, dim flickering lights approached. A hunched old lady wearing tattered hemp cloth pulled a cart. Her face carried a kindly smile. But Lin clearly saw that what she carried in her hand was a human skin lantern, and the rusty cart she pulled was grown from her own hand. Ding, human skin scavenger has issued you an optional task. Give the useless junk to the scavenger. Optional task completion rewards: scavenger favorability +10, skeleton coins +20, scavenger's reward zone. Lin stayed composed. All right, just wait a moment. Lin quickly turned and returned to the potion shop, grabbing 2 black bags at the door. He vaguely smelled a heavy stench of blood and decay emanating from the bags. Something inside seemed to be struggling, emitting low, hoarse moans. Lin calmly placed the useless junk onto the old lady's cart. Thank you, young man, you're a kind soul. The smile on the old lady's face did not waver. She slowly stretched out her withered hand and gouged 2 bloody eyeballs from her eye sockets. Young man, this is your reward from the old lady. Ding, you have received task rewards. Scavenger favorability +10, skeleton coins +20. Ding, you may choose to accept or reject the scavenger's reward. Rejecting will decrease scavenger favorability by 50. Lin stared at the 2 steaming eyeballs, calmly reached out and took them. I accept, thank you. The old lady's smile was extraordinarily bright, but the 2 hollow eye sockets were especially creepy. Good, good. Then, under Lin's watchful eyes, the old lady pulled her cart and slowly disappeared into the darkness. Ding! You have received the scavenger's reward. Tailor shop owner's eyeball zone, butcher shop owner's eyeball zone, scavenger favorability +20. Lin remained calm but secretly exhaled in relief and immediately returned to the potion shop. He had learned from his teacher that the tailor's shop sewed human skin, the butcher's shop sold human meat, and they were located right across the street from their potion shop. The scavenger held the eyeballs of those 2 shop owners. This was the other rule Lin had summarized about this world: never attempt to offend the walkers in the darkness. Lin turned, his expression forcibly calm. He sorted out the bottles of expired dark red potions from the counter, placed them into his portable potion box, and turned toward the backyard. Passing the operating room, the sputtering cutting sounds inside still continued. Lin knew that now was not the time to disturb his teacher. If he interfered, the one lying on the operating table next might not be who he expected. Lin arrived at the backyard. He opened the cellar door, and a strong stench instantly hit his face, like the pungent smell of rotting flesh and excrement that had been decaying for a long time. Hiss, hiss, strange noises came from within the cellar. Lin knew that the cellar housed what his teacher called the little treasure, but no one besides his teacher knew exactly what it was. He emptied all the potions from his suitcase into the cellar. Ding, you have received. Skeleton coins X10, little treasure favorability -10, household chores skill +1. Roar, roar, soon, sharp and furious howls echoed from the cellar, accompanied by waves of bloody stench. Lin immediately closed the cellar door. He breathed a sigh of relief. This was the daily morning routine since he became the assistant of this potion shop. The most important reason he survived was that he listened well to his teacher's orders and only acted without asking questions. The assistants who did not obey had long ago been dismembered by his teacher and fed to the little treasure. Lin calmed himself and cautiously asked, "System?" At that moment, a panel suddenly appeared before Lin's eyes. Chapter 2. The first customer. Lin, age 17, level 2 race human, strength 3, agility 4, intelligence 7, constitution 3, basic skills, intermediate housekeeping proficiency. 901/1000 beginner potion making, 90/100. Beginner surgical ability, 20/100. Skeleton coins, 100 reputation, none introduction. An unknown assistant at the Bloodsaw Potion Shop, a frail yet shrewd human youth who has survived in this world for 2 years, though he might die at any moment. Lin calmly examined the panel that had suddenly appeared before him. His 2 years of training to remain expressionless allowed him to maintain composure in nearly any situation. After studying it for a while, he roughly understood some of the system's functions. So as long as I keep completing tasks given by creatures in this world, I can receive corresponding rewards and improve my abilities. Lin pondered. If that were the case, his chances of survival in this world would increase slightly. Just then, his teacher's hoarse voice and footsteps sounded from inside the house. Lin, I'm going out for about 2 days. Take good care of the shop. Lock up at night and don't let those annoying thieves take anything. Scrape, dragging sounds came from the hallway. Ding, your teacher Bloodsaw Maniac has assigned you a task. Watch the shop. Reward, skeleton coins X50, basic EXP zone 100, special reward zone. Failure penalty, the potion shop might need more. Specimens. Lin immediately returned inside. At the front door stood his teacher dragging a blood-soaked sack with something rustling and struggling inside it. His teacher's body stood at least 2 meters tall, covered in dark red cysts. A panel instantly appeared before Lin's eyes. Bloodsaw Maniac. Race, flesh golem. Level, alignment, lawful evil compatibility. Do not attempt to provoke him. Introduction. Owner of the Bloodsaw Potion Shop in Wandering Souls Alley, skilled in various surgical procedures, though often engages in some interesting side projects outside of surgery. Though inwardly shaken, Lin maintained his composure. Teacher, is there anything special I should be aware of while you're gone? He knew this was a necessary question. His survival might depend on it. The Bloodsaw Maniac slung the sack over his shoulder and rasped, "Take money from those who have it. Equivalent exchange from those who don't. For those with neither money nor willingness to exchange, carve it out yourself." Thud, a blood-stained boning knife landed at Lin's feet. Ding, you have obtained special item. Bloodsaw's boning knife zone. Bloodsaw's boning knife. Quality, fine, level, exclusive, Bloodsaw Maniac, authorization obtained, introduction. A surgical knife frequently used by the owner of Bloodsaw Potion Shop. Extremely sharp with strong cutting power against both flesh and spirits. Prolonged use may give you urges to cut things. Remember, the Bloodsaw Maniac said as he strode toward the exit with the bloody sack, no matter what sounds you hear outside, don't leave the soul lamp's range. No matter who asks you to make a house call, ignore them. At night, lock all doors and windows tightly. Kill anyone who enters. Ignore all calls. Lin nodded, committing his teacher's words to heart. Understood, teacher. Under Lin's watchful gaze, the hulking Bloodsaw Maniac soon disappeared into the thick darkness. Time passed quickly. Lin began his daily routine, mopping up blood from the floor, preparing common medicines for various ailments, then sitting behind the counter with the boning knife in hand, eyes closed, waiting for time to pass. Then knock, 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 3 raps sounded at the door. Lin looked up toward the entrance to see a filthy little girl standing there, hugging a doll as she gently tapped on the door. With a pitiful expression, she said, "Is the owner here? My doll's arm is broken. Can you fix her?" Ding, Blood Puppet has assigned you a task. Treat the injured doll. Reward, skeleton coins plus 50, surgical ability EXP plus 50, special reward plus 1. Lin's gaze flicked to the soul lamp outside, its flame flickering erratically. The chaotic flickering indicated the visitor's strength level. Under the lamp's protection, as long as you didn't invite them in, they couldn't enter. Powerful beings being the exception, of course. A panel instantly appeared with the girl's information. Blood doll. Level, 5 race, flesh wraith. Alignment, chaotic neutral. Compatibility, you could probably provoke it a little introduction. A doll carrying another doll, searching Wandering Souls Alley for her mommy. Whoever tries to take her favorite doll away becomes the doll's next meal. Though inwardly disturbed, Lin kept his calm expression. Come in. As an assistant in Wandering Souls Alley's potion shop, Lin knew the rules here. These evil spirits and monsters weren't inherently murderous. As long as you avoided their taboos, business could still be conducted. The girl pitifully carried her doll to the counter and sat down. Lin glanced at it. One of the doll's arms had been completely torn off, oozing crimson blood and filth, as if something had viciously bitten it off. "Doctor, please save my doll," the girl pleaded. "Her arm is broken and lost. She's my favorite doll. If this continues, she'll die." Suddenly, her mouth stretched violently backward to her neck, revealing a bloody grin. "You can fix her, right, big brother?" Lin's San -5. Maintaining his composure, Lin examined the doll's torn arm. Just then, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Ding. Bite marks on wound match subject's family member's teeth. Blood composition in mouth matches doll's blood. Preliminary diagnosis. Family member ate the doll's arm. Lin. This system was truly impressive, able to automatically diagnose for him. This made things much simpler. Ignoring the girl's bloody grin, he asked, "Have you eaten anything recently?" The girl instantly retracted her grin, reverting to her harmless, pitiful appearance as she clasped her hands together. "I haven't eaten in days. I'm so hungry. Though last night in my dreams I did have a big feast." She licked her lips and suddenly let out a bell-like laugh. "So delicious." Creak, creak, the doll on the counter suddenly wore the same eerie grin as the girl, repeatedly chanting, "So delicious. So delicious, hee hee hee." Lin's San -10. Chapter 3, Physical Therapy or Surgical Treatment. Lin maintained his composure and said, "If that's the case, I initially suspect you must have eaten something wrong. What you ate was probably this doll's arm." The girl's smile instantly froze, but the doll's laughter continued incessantly. "Dolly loves mommy, mommy loves Dolly. Hee 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 hee." Lin raised his head, his dead fish eyes staring blankly, and asked, "Have you felt any stomach discomfort recently?" The girl stiffly replied, "My stomach keeps gurgling, feels like something's tickling inside." Lin nodded, jotting notes casually. "That confirms it. Seems it hasn't been digested yet. Do you want surgery or physical therapy?" The girl asked stiffly. How would the surgery work?" Clang, Lin stabbed the bloody boning knife into the counter. "Cut open your belly, take out your doll's arm, then stitch you back up." Instantly, the doll's laughter stopped abruptly. A shiver ran from the girl's toes to the top of her head. "What about physical therapy?" Lin stood up. Taking gloves and a mask from the counter, he gazed at her calmly and said, "That's simpler, no cutting required. Do you want me to retrieve it from the top or bottom? I can do either, and it's cheaper." Girl's San -20. The girl stammered, "T-top. Please." "Fine." Lin pushed the counter items aside, flexing his wrist. "You're small, no need for the operating room. We can do this now, but you'll need to endure it. Don't bite my arm off." Under the girl's terrified gaze, Lin's massive shadow loomed over her, wearing a mask and leather gloves, his eyes radiating calm intensity. The girl, sitting on a small stool, suddenly clutched her doll tightly. "Can I not watch?" Lin said flatly. "No, my teacher said anyone entering this shop must receive treatment. Otherwise, they'll have to leave something behind." The girl shivered violently before finally conceding. "Okay." She forced her mouth open wide. "Wider." Re-ip, the girl stretched her mouth behind her neck, opening her massive maw. A foul odor wafted out. Lin remained expressionless, taking a retractor from the counter to prop her jaws open, preventing reflexive closure. Then he rolled up his sleeve and inserted his arm into the girl's mouth. It went straight in. Deep throat, the girl's eyes bulged instantly. MMGH, don't move," Lin said sternly, calmly probing inside her stomach. "Almost done. If you want your doll intact, hold still." Ding. Obtained hair X50. Ding. Obtained unknown body fragments X2. Ding. Obtained rotten flesh X5. Ding. Obtained comb zone. The girl kept staring wide-eyed, mouth agape, emitting continuous muffled whimpers. "Found it." Lin's fingers touched something squirming vigorously. Ding. Obtained wriggling arm zone. Schlick, it was the very doll arm she'd eaten. Lin calmly rinsed the arm and placed it on the counter. "This must be it. You were probably starving that night and unconsciously ate your doll's arm. Your doll saw you hungry, so didn't stop you. But be more careful in the future. Don't eat strange things, they're hard to digest." The girl sat dumbly with her mouth propped open, unable to speak. Physical therapy, 10 skeleton coins. Stitching, 30 coins. Lin put on his mask, calmly taking out hemp thread and a sharp, gleaming needle. "Stitch now?" The doll in her arms suddenly wailed, flailing desperately to escape. "NGH, oh now, GH, stitch." The girl managed through the retractor. Lin donned gloves. "Fine, hold it down for me while I thread the needle." The girl immediately pinned the struggling doll onto the counter. The doll's eyes reflected the cold glint in Lin's gaze, screaming in terror. "Beginning." Swish, 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 ding. Basic surgery experience +1. Ding. Basic surgery experience +1. Ding. Basic surgery experience +1. After half an hour of the doll's agonized screams, Lin snipped the thread. "Done. Apply this medicine daily. The arm should heal completely within a week." Lin took out a bottle of greenish medicine. Upon application, the doll shrieked in terror. The girl mumbled, "Done?" Lin clapped his hands. "Complete. That'll be 10 coins for therapy, 30 for stitching. Medicine is 10 coins per bottle. 7 bottles total. 110 coins. Thank you for your patronage." The doll scrambled into the girl's arms, trembling as it stared fearfully at Lin. Clearly, he'd left an unforgettable psychological scar. The girl fumbled nervously. Finally, she produced 20 coins, placing them shakily on the counter. "I only have 20. Lin said flatly. "Fine, you still owe 90 coins. Which body part will you mortgage? I'll cut it off for free." He lifted the boning knife. The girl instantly made a face, stepping back. "Wait, 10 more coins." She frantically produced another 10 coins. Lin, still 80 short. The girl put down 6 medicine bottles. "I'll buy these later." Lin retrieved them. "Now 20 short." The girl trembled. "Can I owe it?" Lin walked out with the knife. "Small business, no credit, but 20 coins isn't much. Leave me one eye, I'll give you the medicine plus 40 coins change." The girl hugged her doll tighter, covering both eyes. "Other payment? Lin, name it, I'll appraise." The girl gulped. "How about, I let you fuck me once to clear the debt?" Chapter 4, Eyeballs for 200, no refunds. Lin said calmly, "This is a small business. We don't accept payment in flesh. Don't worry, I only want your right eye. You can buy it back from me when you earn enough money later." The girl said, "Oh, okay." Sob. A few minutes later. "Ding, you have obtained a rare item. Blood Doll's Right Eye Zone. Blood Doll's right eye increases hunger by +10 when carried. Can use skill, Invincible Stomach. Ding, you have completed the quest. Reward obtained. Skeleton Coins X50, Surgery Skill EXP +50, Special Reward. Blood Doll Fear +30, Blood Doll's Doll Fear +50. Lin calmly washed the blood off his hands. Then he placed the eyeball into a special reagent bottle and labeled it. Turning around, he politely addressed the girl covering one eye. "Welcome to visit again. Bloodsaw Potion Shop sincerely serves you." Lin bowed. The girl hugged her doll and walked out, her voice fading into the distance. "Better go find mommy quickly. I'm never coming back again, sob. This black market store. Ding, you have triggered a hidden quest. Blood Doll seeks mother. Help Blood Doll find her mother. Quest reward, Blood Doll Affinity +200, Blood Doll's Doll Affinity +100, Special Reward Zone. Current quest completion, 2%. Lin froze. Looking outside, the girl's figure had already disappeared into the darkness. Completion at 2%? Lin's gaze fell on the plate containing several organs extracted from the girl's stomach. Unknown woman's hair X50. Unknown woman's ears X2. Unknown woman's comb zone. Lin, he had to admit, he was forming a rather terrifying hypothesis. Lin stood up, cleaned the body parts, sealed them in bottles, and prepared to discuss this with the girl during her next visit. He checked his status panel. Thanks to the earlier rewards, he gained 50 Surgery Skill EXP and an additional 50 personal skeleton coins. Customer payments belonged to the shop and couldn't be touched. His current personal assets totaled 150 skeleton coins. Skeleton coins were the basic currency of this world, serving as universal tender. However, Lin hadn't actually left this shop in 2 years, so he'd never had occasion to use them. But extra money never hurt. Time passed quickly. Lin sat with eyes closed, holding the boning knife like a statue. The soul lamp outside represented a rule signaling to wandering spirits in the darkness that this was claimed territory. Malicious intruders would pay the price. Most wandering spirits wouldn't invade while the soul lamp burned. Within the lamp's protected area, the owner could suppress any evil spirits at will. But exceptions existed, extremely evil spirits that feared nothing. For them, no rules in this world were worth following. Knock knock just then. Another knock came at the door. "Welcome." Lin opened his eyes. Instantly, he saw a massive pig-headed humanoid monster standing at the entrance. One of its eyes was bloody and eyeless, wearing a crimson apron and holding a cleaver still wet with recent butchery. A status panel appeared before Lin. Pig-headed demon. Level, 21 race, mutant freak. Alignment, lawful evil combatability, as long as you're willing to be eaten. Description, owner of the Wandering Souls Alley Butcher Shop. Your friendly neighbor who enjoys sharing his freshly slaughtered prey. or sharing you with others. Lin's San -5. Damn bad luck, the pig-headed demon cursed while clutching his empty eye socket. Just because I didn't have useless trash for that old hag, she took my eye. Next time I see her, I'll, tooey. He spat a foul globule, continuing to mutter curses. Simultaneously, a system prompt sounded in Lin's mind. Ding, pig-headed demon quest. Help him acquire a suitable replacement eye. Reward, 50 skeleton coins, surgery skill EXP plus 50, pig-headed demon affinity plus 20, special reward plus 1. Please come in. Lin remained expressionless, sitting behind the counter while secretly tightening his grip on the boning knife. The pig-headed demon strode inside as the soul lamp flickered violently. A wave of putrid, bloody air hit Lin, triggering his gag reflex. The demon plopped onto a stool, his single remaining pig eye scanning Lin before looking around. Where's Bloodsaw? Get him out here. I need a new eyeball, I'll trade good meat for it. Lin maintained his composure. Teacher is away on business. You can discuss matters with me. The pig-headed demon paused, then turned his head, squinting as he examined Lin like a piece of meat. Oh, ding, danger level increased to 89%. Though internally panicking, Lin's face remained calm. His decision proved correct. Had he lied about his teacher being in the back, the demon would have sensed deception and attacked immediately. Honesty bred caution. What kind of eyeball do you need? Lin turned, pointing to the reagent-preserved eyes on the shelf. We carry human eyes, pig eyes, undead eyes, bat eyes, blood doll eyes. Prices vary by type. The pig-headed demon's eyes glowed with malice, baring fangs as rancid breath washed over Lin. I think yours look pretty good. His tongue licked cracked lips. Lin's San -10. Ding. Danger level increased to 91%. Lin knew showing fear would invite immediate attack. Mine? Lin turned to face him calmly. Under the demon's murderous gaze, Lin slowly raised 3 fingers and right before his eyes, inserted them into his own eye socket, methodically extracting his right eyeball. Squelch, squelch, ding, host health points loss. Ding, host organ missing. Seconds later, Lin presented his eyeball on an open palm. Pig-headed demon's San -20. His expression never changed. 200 skeleton coins per eye. No refunds if incompatible. The pig-headed demon gaped. He never expected this seemingly fragile human could so ruthlessly pluck out his own eye without flinching. When the scavenger took his eye, he'd howled in agony for minutes. Yet this human remained composed. Ding, danger level decreased to 50%. Chapter 5. As a doctor, I must take responsibility for you. His eyes flickered with suspicion. He was beginning to suspect that Bloodsaw's little apprentice might have already been transformed into a flesh golem. No ordinary human could remain so calm when facing him. I don't want yours. I want my own eyeball back, he rasped hoarsely. Ding, crisis level reduced to 45%. Lin expressionlessly popped his own eyeball back into its socket and calmly returned to his seat. Reaching into his coat, he said, As it happens, I do have this. Under the pig-headed demon's stunned gaze, Lin produced a massive, still-dripping eyeball from his pocket, one that was actively rotating. Clatter, the pig-headed demon leapt to his feet, trembling. This. Indeed, he instantly recognized it as the very eyeball that old hag had plucked from him. But how had this human apprentice gotten hold of it? Lin placed the eyeball on the counter and stated evenly, I met that kind-hearted granny this morning. She gave this to me as a toy. Pig-headed demon's San -30. Sweat dripped down the demon's bristly neck as he stared fixedly at the eyeball. He knew exactly how terrifying that scavenger was. She'd effortlessly taken his eye. Had she wanted to, she could have just as easily taken his head. And yet, she'd given his eyeball to this feeble human? This apprentice was clearly anything but ordinary. No, this was starting to feel genuinely horrifying. He couldn't fathom the depths of this human. Ding. Crisis level reduced to 20%. The pig-headed demon studied Lin warily. You'd really just give me back something that old hag gave you? Lin replied coolly. Not give, sell. 200 skeleton coins, market price. Was he truly unafraid? The demon scrutinized him for any sign of weakness. Did he actually have some close connection with that scavenger? Ding! Crisis level reduced to 10%. Clink-clatter, the pig-headed demon produced a coin purse and scattered skeleton coins across the counter. Done. I'll buy it, he growled, not taking his eyes off Lin. Lin methodically collected the coins before donning gloves and a mask, then produced a monocle. Transaction complete. Would you like the procedure done here or on the operating table? Here, the pig-headed demon stated firmly. No resident of Wandering Souls Alley would willingly set foot on Bloodsaw's operating table. Very well. Lin picked up the boning knife. Lean against the counter and rest your head on the surface. You may scream if it hurts. The demon sneered. Since when do I fear pain? Splat, Lin took a swig of alcohol and sprayed it across the gleaming blade. The demon immediately fell silent. After sterilizing the blade over a candle flame for several minutes, Lin squinted, bringing the knife incrementally closer to the pig's head. Plop! A sweat droplet hit the counter. The demon trembled. Since when does installing an eyeball require a knife? Pig-headed demons San -10. Lin explained calmly. Upon inspection, I found significant calculi and blood clots in your socket, clear evidence of chronic ocular neglect. Consider this a complimentary service. No thanks necessary. W8, too late. Snick snick, snick snick, GYAHHH, a knife skills EXP +1, knife skills EXP +1, knife skills EXP +1. Several minutes later, as Lin disinfected the socket, he puzzled over why this procedure boosted his knife skills rather than surgical expertise. Preparation complete. He wiped the blade clean. Remain still for implantation. Sudden movements risk inverted installation. The demon lay slumped, foaming at the mouth with sporadic convulsions, clearly in no state to listen. Lin blinked, forgot anesthesia again, just like when suturing that doll's arm last time. Shaking his head, he retrieved the pig-headed shop owner's eyeball from its preservative bath with forceps and scanned the medicine cabinet. Moments later, he produced a white bottle labeled with handwritten numbers. 502. The semi-conscious demon trembled. What's that? Lin brandished the bottle while adjusting the eyeball with his forceps. Custom high-strength adhesive. Prevents post-operative detachment when combined with my mentor's specialized regenerative solution, 95% success rate. The demon shrieked, just put it in already. I want out of here, understand? Lin nodded solemnly. Rest assured, medical ethics are paramount in our profession. After meticulously applying the viscous solution, he aligned and placed the eyeball with precision, then produced specialized tools for final adjustments, followed by a mallet from his kit. Pig-headed demon San -20. What are you doing? The demon screeched. Lin frowned. Remain still. This is the final physical adjustment. Displacement means repeat surgery and additional fees. Ignoring the struggles, he steadied the head and began carefully tapping the mallet with focused precision. Several minutes later, Lin paused. The demon panicked. What now? Minor inversion, Lin noted clinically. Pig-headed demon. Not to worry. Without hesitation, Lin gripped the eyeball's retractor and RIIIP, extracted it amid the demon's shrieks and plummeting SAN values. A slight medical complication, Lin stated while repositioning the organ. Repositioning is complementary. No more, I'll go elsewhere, the demon howled, thrashing violently. SAN -20, SAN -20. Stop moving, Lin's voice turned razor-sharp as he raised the mallet. This is the final step. As your physician, I must see this through. Every patient leaves my care in perfect condition. Stop, bam, sparks flew. Chapter 6. This is an illusion. About 10 minutes later. Ding, you have completed the task. You received 50 skeleton coins, plus 50 surgery experience, and plus 1 special reward. Ding. Due to special uncontrollable circumstances, pig-headed demon's favorability has converted to fear. Pig-headed demon's fear level plus 50. The pig-headed demon sat there trembling uncontrollably, his expression dazed. Across the counter, Lin sat calmly in his white coat, leisurely writing his medical report with a quill pen. He pushed a small stack of medicine bottles forward. Take half of these orally and apply the other half externally. Use them twice daily at fixed intervals. Your vision should begin recovering in about 2 days. Of course, if you want faster-acting medicine, the price would be 10 times higher. Time to settle the bill. Including surgery fees, medicine costs, and nursing fees, you've already paid for the eyeball, The total comes to 546 skeleton coins. If everything looks correct, please sign here. Lin looked up with his dead fish eyes and said amiably, "Or you can just leave a thumbprint." The pig-headed demon shakily pressed his thumb onto the report. Trembling, he pulled out a large money pouch from his chest and placed over 500 skeleton coins on the counter. "Can I go now?" Lin counted the coins. His gaze lifted and landed on the still bulging money pouch at the pig-headed demon's waist. But then his eyes were drawn to the demon's protruding belly. Ding! You have triggered the pig-headed demon's hidden quest, Abnormal Belly. Quest completion reward. Plus 50 skeleton coins, plus 50 surgery experience, unlocks visual diagnosis function. As the pig-headed demon turned to leave, Lin suddenly reached out to stop him. "Wait a moment." The pig-headed demon's body visibly shuddered. "What now?" He turned back just in time to see Lin adjusting his monocle. The eyeball plopped onto the table before being calmly picked up and pressed back into place. "San -1? Lin shook his head. "I've noticed some new issues with your health. Left untreated, they could cause unknown complications." The pig-headed demon gnashed his tusks. "Don't try to fool me. I hate being tricked most of all," Lin said solemnly. "I'm a doctor, I don't deceive people. Everyone who enters my clinic is my patient, and I must take responsibility for their health. If I saw a problem but didn't tell you, that would be truly unethical." Under Lin's serious, unwavering gaze, the pig-headed demon reluctantly sat back down on the stool, though with great resistance. "What's wrong then? I feel perfectly healthy." Lin put on a face mask. "Give me your wrist, I'll check your pulse." Hesitantly, the pig-headed demon placed his hairy forearm on the counter, deciding to give this one last chance. With calm composure, Lin placed his fingers on the pulse point, carefully assessing. Diagnosis experience +1. Diagnosis experience +1. Diagnosis experience +1. Gradually, the pig-headed demon saw Lin's brows furrow, making his heart leap into his throat. Is it really that serious?" he asked nervously. Nothing scared him more than seeing a doctor frown like that. It never meant good news. Lin withdrew his hand and looked up gravely at the pig-headed demon. "The problem isn't exactly small, but not exactly big either. It depends on how we handle it." The pig-headed demon tensed. "What kind of problem?" Lin declared solemnly. "Ectopic pregnancy." An awkward silence fell, punctuated only by the chilly wind whistling through the door. Then the pig-headed demon roared, grabbing Lin by the collar and lifting him violently. "What kind of joke is this, you quack? Are you mocking me? I'll give you one chance to take that back." Lin remained perfectly calm. Adjusting his eyeball, he said gravely, "The pulse doesn't lie. You should trust my medical expertise." The pig-headed demon bellowed. "My pulse says you can go beep yourself." "I'll say it again, I'm male." Lin nodded thoughtfully. "Exactly why it would be ectopic. If it were normal pregnancy, we'd need even more complicated gender reassignment surgery. That would be much harder on you." Trembling, the pig-headed demon released Lin's collar and collapsed back onto the stool. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking how to chop you into pieces." The demon ground his teeth in humiliated rage. "Let's not dwell on unproductive thoughts." Lin straightened his collar and sat back down, pulling out a medical chart. "Have you experienced any abdominal distension, nausea, loss of appetite, or unusual bleeding recently?" The pig-headed demon slammed the table as he stood, barely containing his fury. "How exactly would I be bleeding? Explain that to me." He spat through clenched teeth. Lin continued writing calmly, adjusting his eyeball. "Please remain calm, patient. This is standard questioning. Aside from lower bleeding, have you experienced any other symptoms?" The pig-headed demon gnashed his teeth. "So what if I have? Can a guy just have an upset stomach?" Lin glanced at him while adjusting his eyeball. "How long have these symptoms persisted?" "About a month," Lin kept writing. "When was your last sexual encounter? Any unusual habits like multiple partners or using certain toys?" The pig-headed demon stood frozen, arms trembling violently. "Ask me that one more time," he said dangerously. Clearly this topic had struck a nerve. Lin raised a hand placatingly. "Fine, we'll skip that question. Next item, during your most recent sexual activity, did you experience any?" He frowned and made an explosive gesture. "Tearing sensations?" That was the last straw. The pig-headed demon grabbed Lin's collar again, roaring in outrage. "I've had enough of you. Explain to me what tearing sensations mean. Explain it." "What the hell are tearing sensations?" Lin patted the demon's heaving chest soothingly. Calm down, calm down. Further diagnosis will require specialized equipment. This is just standard medical procedure. It's for your own good. You wouldn't want to risk chronic complications, would you? The pig-headed demon snorted steam from his nostrils, chest heaving with rage, but eventually released Lin under this coaxing. Soothing experience +1. Soothing experience +1. Soothing experience +1. Lin straightened his collar again, set down his pen, and gave the demon a look before shaking his head. Speaking quickly now, he said, "There is one other possibility. You may have accidentally ingested something containing aberrant energy, causing a mutation inside your body that creates this false pregnancy phenomenon." Chapter 7. Perfectly completed surgery. Because I noticed your complexion looks poor, dark circles under your eyes, pale face, cold wrists. Recently, no matter how much you eat, you never feel full, right? And you frequently experience hunger pangs? The pig-headed demon hesitated before sitting back down. Though this guy had seemed unreliable earlier, he'd hit the nail on the head. Lately, he'd indeed been constantly hungry, with even binge eating failing to satisfy that gnawing emptiness. "How did you know?" Lin remained expressionless as he stood, retrieving a wooden basin from the back room. He filled it with clean water, then took out a pale green potion from under the counter and poured it in. Whoosh! A wisp of green smoke shaped like a skull billowed from the basin. Lin clapped his hands together. "This is summoning demon potion. Put your hand in. If there's truly an evil spirit parasitizing you or other supernatural mutations inside, this potion will reveal some truths." The pig-headed demon gave him a doubtful look. He extended his pig snout to sniff the liquid. After determining it seemed harmless enough, he tentatively dipped his hand in. Instantly, an icy sensation began creeping up from his abdomen. This is. His expression changed slightly. The green water started boiling violently as tendrils of eerie black mist slowly emerged from his body. Then, in the next moment, a sharp cramp twisted his stomach as a grinning face bulged grotesquely against his belly skin. "Tehe, tehe? Oink, oink," the pig-headed demon's hair stood on end. My stomach, my stomach." The laughing voice suddenly warped into eerie wailing. "Waya, waya." Witnessing this, the pig-headed demon completely lost it. "What the hell is this thing?" Bang! Lin decisively grabbed a nearby frying pan and smashed it flat against the protruding face, pancaking the bulge against the demon's abdomen. The crying and laughter cut off instantly. Thud! The pig-headed demon collapsed onto the stool, stammering, that." Lin pushed the basin aside calmly. "Preliminary diagnosis confirms evil spirit parasitism. Judging by that frying pan's effectiveness just now, this little ghost hasn't fully matured yet. You're incredibly lucky to have met me." Now thoroughly convinced, the pig-headed demon dropped to his knees with a thud, trembling. "Little brother, this old pig was too rude earlier. Please don't take it to heart. Save me, please save me." He was genuinely terrified. If this were a straightforward fight against an evil spirit, he wouldn't fear anything. But a spirit growing inside his belly, he was completely helpless. Lin picked up a pen calmly. "Do you remember eating anything unclean?" The pig-headed demon shivered. "A month ago when I was out, I remember swallowing some imp whole in one gulp. Other than that, I only eat pigs and humans." Lin pondered briefly before looking up seriously. "Let's operate and see." Sometime later. In the dim operating room, several candles and bronze mirrors focused light on the pig-headed demon's greasy belly as he trembled on the uncomfortable operating table. "You're really deciding to operate just like that. Shouldn't you examine me more thoroughly first?" Lin donned gloves and a mask, calmly sterilizing his scalpel. "Cutting the Gordian knot is the truest solution. Have faith in my diagnostic skills and professional ethics. I'll make an incision in your belly. If it's removable, I'll excise it. If not," the pig-headed demon trembled. "Then I'll excise you." Lin shook his head. He retrieved his teacher's boning knife and began sharpening it right before the demon's eyes. Screech, screech, the pig-headed demon lay paralyzed, staring at the array of meat hooks dangling from the ceiling and the jars of terrifying monster specimens lining the walls. For some reason, he felt like a hog awaiting slaughter on a butcher's block. Screech, screech, sparks flew. Stop sharpening it! Stop that awful sound! The pig-headed demon roared, unable to bear the grating noise. Soon, Lin rinsed the razor-sharp scalpel in disinfectant. When he lifted it again, the blade gleamed dangerously. Approaching the operating table, Lin pressed his ear against the greasy belly, listening intently. Then, with professional precision, he used a pencil to mark a cross on the lower abdomen. "Are you ready?" Lin asked calmly. "Are ready." Clank, 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 Lin hit a button under the table, instantly shackling the demon's limbs with iron restraints. Oink, oink, the pig-headed demon screamed in terror. Lin frowned, scalpel in hand. "Don't scream, I haven't started yet. These restraints prevent struggling that could compromise the surgery. It's for your own good." The pig-headed demon quivered. "Have you ever performed surgery on anyone before?" Lin clattered his sharpened tools casually. "I've watched my teacher slaughter pigs. You're my first patient, but it's basically the same. I'm quite confident in my surgical skills." A beat of silence. "Oink, oink, I don't want this. Let me go, let me go." The pig-headed demon thrashed violently. Lin's eyes turned fierce as he barked. "Are you joking? After I sharpened everything? Aren't you afraid your belly will keep swelling until that spirit bursts out? Once you're on my operating table, I take responsibility. Today this surgery will happen, whether you want it or not." SCHLICK, 30 minutes later. Knife skills EXP plus 10. Knife skills EXP plus 10. Surgical ability plus 1. The pig-headed demon lay twitching on the table, having lost count of how many times he'd passed out from pain and regained consciousness. Then, "Wah!" A piercing infant's cry echoed through the operating room. Lin smiled, wiping sweat as he cradled the tiny spirit. "Congratulations, the surgery was perfectly successful." A status window materialized before him, evil blood infant unformed. Race, wicked spirit alignment. Chaotic evil level. 1. Description: a ghostly entity condensed from resentment and spectral energy, further nourished by consuming livestock life essence. Upon maturing, it devours the host's soul and flesh, growing into a calamitous entity. The pig-headed demon mumbled dazedly. "So, me up." Chapter 8, stomach still uncomfortable, "Let me operate again." Lin nodded. Then he took out the bill, thought for a moment, and said, "Though this might not be the best time, I still need to discuss this with you. The surgery fee totals 300 skeleton coins, but since it's my first time, I can give you a 20% discount, making it 240 coins. The stitching fee is additional, bringing the total to 280 coins. Would you mind signing here?" Oink, oink, the pig-headed demon let out miserable squeals, his spirit nearly broken. Sew it up," he trembled. Lin nodded, then pointed at various threads on the wall, saying, "We have hemp thread, wool thread, cotton thread, iron wire, and steel wire here. Each type has different pricing. Which would you prefer?" A tear rolled down from the pig-headed demon's eye as he muttered. "Hemp thread," Lin nodded, taking down the hemp thread. "Would you also need?" Just sew it," he roared. Lin nodded, skillfully picking up his steel needle. He flicked the hemp thread and walked over to the pig-headed demon, biting the thread end to pull it taut. "Stay calm now, bear with it, I'm starting." Sewing skill EXP plus 1. Sewing skill EXP plus 1. Sewing skill EXP plus 1. Finally, after over 10 minutes, Lin took out scissors to snip the thread ends, patted the little bow he'd tied, then poured some potion into his mouth and sprayed it onto the demon's stomach. Immediately, the stitched flesh began closing up rapidly, healing at visible speed. Ding, hidden quest completed. You received 50 skeleton coins, 50 surgery EXP, and plus 50 diagnosis EXP. Ding, pig-headed demon's fear of you plus 200. Ding, your reputation in Wandering Souls Alley plus 10. Lin removed his mask, unlocked the operating table restraints, and picked up the little spirit with a smile. "Congratulations, the surgery went extremely smoothly. As you saw, this was indeed a standard evil spirit parasitism. Lucky you came to me, or you'd have been in serious trouble." BZZZT. Suddenly, Lin's vision blurred. Then he saw a dark figure bolt trembling from the operating table, clutching its stomach, fleeing toward the door at unbelievable speed. Never coming back, he swore he'd never return here again. Getting surgery here felt like being butchered alive. Just one visit to this doctor gave him psychological trauma. "Boss, you forgot your daughter. We're a potion shop, not a daycare." Lin quickly chased after him, shouting all the way to the entrance. But when he looked again, the pig-headed demon had completely vanished into the darkness. Lin sighed. After some thought, he shouted into the eerie darkness, "Boss, if your stomach acts up again, come back and I'll operate. Next time I'll definitely use anesthesia. Also, come get your newborn daughter soon." Instantly, the previously bustling darkness fell into an unnatural silence. Lin turned back into the potion shop. He immediately rushed to the counter, rummaging through drawers until he found a small bottle of high-grade recovery potion, then poured it directly onto his right eye. The eyeball he'd forcibly dug out earlier gradually regained vitality. It still hurt quite a bit, but the effect was good. Lin rubbed his reddened eye socket, murmuring, "Living in this world really keeps you on edge." He dared dig out his own eye not because he was cruel, but because he knew the shop stocked high-grade potions for rapid injury recovery. But these were premium products. He couldn't make them himself. They were his teacher's private stock, normally for personal use only, not for sale. Ding, multiple abilities upgradable. Your reputation in Wandering Souls Alley has changed. Please check your status panel. Lin froze, then opened his system panel. Lin, level 3 race, human. Strength, 4 agility, 5 intelligence, 8 constitution. 4 available points, 4 basic skills. Intermediate housekeeping proficiency, 909/1000. Basic potion making, 90/100. Intermediate surgical ability, 203/1000. Basic blade work, 26/100. Basic diagnosis, 55/100. Skeleton coins, 250 reputation, 15 description. A somewhat morbid apprentice of Bloodsaw Potion Shop. Numerous patients have sensed great malice from him. He seems to be gradually inheriting his teacher's peculiar style. Lin, what's with this last part? This is downright slander. Completely biased and unfair. Aside from forgetting anesthesia, he treated all patients with utmost responsibility. This was clearly the system's naked malice toward him. Lin shook his head. But he soon noticed he'd leveled up from level 2 to 3 with 4 additional attribute points. Admittedly, this system interface really gave off strong low-budget MMO vibes. But make no mistake, this wasn't a game. It was a vicious, dark otherworld where death was permanent, without hesitation. Lin allocated all 4 points to Constitution. Simple logic: to become a proper doctor, one needed robust constitution. Especially in this chaotic world, a weak body would always be your fatal weakness. No matter what, survival was this world's first priority. Confirm. Instantly, Lin felt a warm current flowing through his body. He knew the attribute points were taking effect. Subtly, the fatigue from surgery dissipated under this warmth, replaced by seemingly endless energy. He removed his coat. Looking at his abdomen, in just those few minutes, his previously flat stomach now showed clear abdominal muscle definition. Lin appreciated the benefits of a healthy body. "Wah, wah," the counter behind him echoed with the blood infant's cries. Lin immediately went over, picking up the bloody spirit infant for inspection, and what he saw gave him pause. Being underdeveloped, it was only about 4 adult fists in size. Apart from a black hole-like mouth on its face, the rest was smooth as silk, featureless. Evil blood infant, unformed. Gender, female level, 2 Lin. This spirit infant was level 1 earlier. How did it reach level 2 in such short time? Did this mean it was forming rapidly? Just then, another system prompt appeared. Ding. Optional hidden quest triggered. Spirit infant's transformation. Premature birth causes the infant's ghost energy to rapidly distort its features. The more terrifying its appearance becomes, the greater malice it will exhibit after awakening. Chapter 9. I'm giving you a complete makeover. Optional task branch 1, turn it into oil for the soul lamp, task reward, soul lamp usage days +2. Optional task branch 2, feed it to the little treasure in the backyard, task reward. Little treasure favorability +50. Optional task branch 3, soak it in reagent for preservation, task reward, specimen making experience +10. Optional task branch 4, Wait for the pig-headed demon to come pick up his daughter. Task reward, to be analyzed. Lin calmly stared at the 4 task branches the system gave him. Of course, it has to be the 4th one. Lin sat on the counter, placed the evil blood infant on the table, and clicked his abacus seriously, saying, I'm a doctor. If someone leaves a baby with me and I kill it, wouldn't that make me a pervert? My moral standards won't allow me to do such a thing. I'm already such a professional person. System, aren't you going to give me some bonus for that? Moral plus 10. Lin grabbed his knife and continued waiting for new customers to arrive. 2 minutes later, he opened his eyes and glanced at the ghost baby. He found that its appearance had already started to twist into a hideous, twisted shape. Lin San -1. 5 minutes later. When he looked again, the baby's face had started to grow one large and small cyst after another, emitting hoarse, woo-woo-woo sounds from its black mouth. Lin San -10. 10 minutes later. When Lin opened his eyes again, the face was already covered with numerous black, twisted tentacles crawling over it, all twisted together. Lin San -30. Lin's eye twitched uncontrollably. It seemed the system was right. If left unchecked, this evil blood infant would continue to distort into something indescribable. No way. If this continued, never mind whether the pig-headed demon would still recognize his daughter. He wouldn't be able to take it anymore himself. Too ugly, seriously, ridiculously ugly, that kind of horror-level ugliness. Lin stood up, stretched his wrists, and said, Fine, consider it a favor. Let me give you a free makeover so you won't scare me now or others later. He put on his mask and gloves. He took a rope and tied the ghost baby to the counter. Squeak, squeak, the twisted tentacles on the ghost baby's face suddenly mutated into countless mouths, emitting terrifying roars at Lin. Smack, Lin slapped the tentacles back instantly. Behave, Lin put on his monocle, expression indifferent, cracked his knuckles with a caca sound. He stretched out both hands, grabbed the wildly twisted tentacles on its face, and forcefully kneaded them like kneading dough. Wah wah, the ghost baby emitted sounds resembling fearful cries from within. Evil blood infant fear level plus 10. Cosmetic surgery is a technical skill. Although Lin had never done cosmetic surgery before, his clay modeling skills were very proficient. In a sense, these two skills weren't that different. The first step of cosmetic surgery, naturally, was to mix all the messy, sticky substances on the face evenly, making it smooth enough. Only then could a perfect foundation be laid for the subsequent face shaping. Evil blood infant fear level plus 10. Kneading dough also requires skill. It can't be too dry or too wet. You have to make it elastic and resilient, which is an extremely demanding process for hand strength. Don't move. Since I delivered you as a doctor, I have the obligation to keep you healthy during this time. Don't worry, I'll handle your face problem. Lin's face was serious. He fully applied his noodle-pulling skills from before transmigrating. After kneading the mass on the ghost baby's face well, he pulled it outward. Evil blood infant fear level plus 20. Twisted it like a rope, then pressed it in. Evil blood infant fear level plus 20. Pulled again, twisted it twice more and pressed it in, fully mixing those sticky, disgusting substances evenly and elastically. The sounds from the ghost baby's body became increasingly terrified. Evil blood infant fear level plus 20. Knock, knock, knock. At that moment, there was a knock at the door. A humanoid monster covered in burn scars and pus stood there, bright red and foul-smelling slime continuously dripping from its eye sockets, terrifying and grotesque. I want to change my face. The monster's throat emitted a low, burnt-sounding voice. Lin glanced over. Burned ghost. Race, evil spirit level, 15 alignment, chaotic neutral combatability, average description. An evil spirit burned alive in a great fire, 99.9% of its body scarred, twisted and gloomy personality, harbors great malice toward anything beautiful. Ding, task triggered. Help the burned ghost change its face, task reward. 50 skeleton coins, surgical experience plus 50, special reward plus 1. Welcome, please take a seat over there and wait a moment. Lin leaned forward from behind the ghost baby and showed a standard professional smile in his eyes. For the thick fluid from the popped ghost baby's face splattered on Lin's mask. The burned ghost who just entered stiffened immediately. Please sit, I'll be ready soon. Lin smiled. Then he focused his attention back on the ghost baby tied to the counter. To speed things up, Lin used both hands simultaneously. He grabbed both sides of the needed meat lump and pulled hard. Wah! The ghost baby's body emitted a chilling, terrified sound. He twisted it into a rope again, pressed it onto the face. Ah! The ghost baby trembled. Lin flipped the ghost baby flat, using greater force, kneading the twisted flesh noisily. It'll be ready soon. Please be patient. Lin smiled warmly and looked sincerely at the burned ghost sitting not far away on a chair. The burned ghost stared dumbly at the horrifying step at the counter. Its legs trembled uncontrollably. Pulled again. Another 2 meters. Burned ghost san -20. Kneaded again. Lin picked up a rolling pin. Clack, clack, clack. The ghostly face was flattened by rolling, screaming, terrified squeak, squeak noises. All the pus-filled sores on the burned ghost trembled. Burned ghost san -20. Something was wrong. Something was seriously wrong. This medical shop it came into seemed completely off. It trembled as it stretched out its burnt hand and asked, "May I ask, are you?" Lin heard this, still kneading the meat on the ghost baby's face, lifted his head, and showed a sincere professional smile, saying, "Oh, this little ghost is too ugly, even a bit contaminating. As a doctor, it's my duty to give it a normal face." The burned ghost shuddered all over. It said dazedly, "Why your technique really is quite unique." Its whole body stiffened, its burnt eyes stared wide, and its hunched body somehow straightened up. It watched the ghost baby's face being kneaded like noodles by the doctor. Its legs shook even more violently. A horrifying image of its own face being endlessly pulled and twisted by this doctor flashed through its mind instantly. The burned ghost began to panic. Could this be some kind of black clinic? And just as this thought crossed its mind, smack, 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 the doctor reached out and popped a dozen tumors growing on the ghost baby's face with rapid smacks. Thick pus splattered onto the burned ghost's face. Popped for sure. Oh my god, burned ghost san -30. Chapter 10. Black Shop. It's a black shop. He instinctively covered the cysts on his face caused by burns, his mind instantly conjuring images of that doctor popping them one by one with loud squishing sounds. Click-clack, click-clack, trembling in terror, his teeth chattered uncontrollably. Burned ghost fear level +20. Burned ghost fear level +20. At that moment, Lin removed his fluid-stained mask and gave the burned ghost a kind smile, saying, "I'll go get some tools from the back. Please wait a little longer, you're next." The burned ghost felt all his cysts jump in alarm. What a terrifying smile. Why did he show such a creepy smile when saying it was my turn? Burned ghost san -20. Burned ghost san -20. Originally, he had come because he saw that old freak from Bloodsaw Potion Shop was out, hoping to get his burns treated without too much fear. But who knew the old freak would leave behind a little freak? Trembling, he stared at the ghost infant convulsing on the counter, its face nearly melted into black pulp. "Is this going to be my fate too?" he murmured, just then. From behind the curtain to the backyard came the sharp, grating sound of a chainsaw revving. VRRRR, VRRRR, ZZZZZZZZ, the burned ghost clutched his head, his bones nearly shaking apart from terror. A chainsaw? It's a chainsaw. Didn't he say he was just getting some tools? Why is there a chainsaw back there? What are you planning to do with a chainsaw? His mind instantly conjured an image of a chainsaw-wielding maniac with a twisted smile, approaching step by step. Black smoke rose from his head. Then, the next moment, his ears twitched. Thud, thud, footsteps growing closer. That person was coming this way with a chainsaw. A dark silhouette slowly appeared against the backyard curtain as the chainsaw's roar reached his ears. Ah, 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 the burned ghost clutched his head in terror, numbers continuously floating above him. San -20, san -30, san -40. The next second, with his san completely depleted, the burned ghost scrambled toward the exit in panic. Black shop, it's a black shop. Help, somebody help. Ding, burned ghost quest failed. Ding, burned ghost's fear of you +400. Ding, congratulations on gaining your first customer with extreme terror attitude toward you. Reward 100 skeleton coins. Ding, your reputation +10. Lin, he lifted the curtain, staring blankly at the trail of ashes left by the fleeing burned ghost. What happened? I just went to sharpen my scalpel since it was getting dull. Why'd he run off? And what's this about plus 400 fear toward me? Why is he extremely terrified of me? I've always upheld the principle of smiling service, spoke politely, and treated customers seriously. Shouldn't he feel more goodwill toward my friendly attitude? Lin couldn't understand. Oh well, he's gone now. Lin sighed regretfully. Either way, let's finish up this ghost baby first. Ding, the small, sharp carving knife in Lin's hand gleamed brightly. 1 hour later. Lin sat at the counter, smiling in satisfaction as he set down his knife, admiring the ghost infant now seated properly before him. Doesn't this look much better now? A cherry-like mouth, chubby cheeks, big eyes, and a delicate nose. The former horrifying, indescribable mass of distortions had been carefully sculpted by Lin into something cute and lifelike. Before transmigrating, Lin had always ranked first in every handicraft class. Every clay portrait he made had received unanimous praise from his classmates. Lin smiled, feeling pleased. Just then, a vertical eye suddenly sprouted on the ghost infant's forehead. Pop, Lin immediately poked it out. Eyes closed, he warned, "This isn't where eyes grow. I worked hard on this face. If you ruin it, don't blame me for taking the knife to you again." Evil blood infant fear plus 50. Evil blood infant fear plus 50. Ding! System detects evil blood infant's fear of you has surpassed its resentment growth rate. Threat level reduced to minus 321% and continues dropping. Ding! Hidden quest triggered. Suppress ghost infant's resentment. Completion, 321%. Reward, 151 skeleton coins, plastic surgery skill EXP plus 100, special reward. Wraith strands X5. Lin paused. You can trigger hidden quests like this. Seems there's still much to explore about this system. The next moment, 5 long strands of hair appeared in his hand. Their description immediately appeared before his eyes. Wraith strands. Hair from a vengeful female ghost imbued with extreme resentment. When attached to a target, it strangles them to death. Lin stroked his chin. Seems like decent self-defense gear, though with only 5 strands, he'd need to use them wisely. Putting the strands away, Lin sat at the counter, tapping the abacus as he quietly waited for the next customer. Of course, his attention remained fixed on the ghost infant before him. At the slightest sign of distortion, Lin would immediately press it back into shape. Time passed quickly. Outside, the soul lamp's light gradually dimmed. This signaled the approach of night in this world. The distinction between day and night here depended entirely on the soul lamp. During the world's nighttime, the lamp simply wouldn't light no matter what. Which meant, without the lamp's protection, any monster could freely invade your sanctuary and tear you to pieces. Just as the light faded and Lin prepared to close shop, knock knock knock, someone rapped at the door. A tall figure stood there, clad in a thick black cloak, wearing a black top hat with long gray-white hair. The enormous shadow he cast through the doorway exuded overwhelming pressure. Lin's heart tightened, because floating before his eyes was the man's status panel. Witcher, Orkalos, race, human level, combatability. You will undoubtedly die alignment. Chaotic good. Description: a powerful witcher roaming the dark world alone. Unaffiliated with any organization and deeply mysterious, he dedicates his life to hunting down monstrous evils as he defines them. Do not attempt to understand him, it's extremely dangerous. Lin, this seems to be a human. Chapter 11, my knife needs to match your meat. This was still the first human he had encountered in this dark world in the past 2 years. And judging by the status panel, this was someone with extraordinarily overwhelming combat power. I need treatment, and also some combat potions and recovery potions. Beneath the large top hat came the hoarse voice of a middle-aged man. Lin immediately stood up, putting on a professional smile, and said, "Welcome, please come in." The demon hunter strode through the door, and the soul lamp hanging by the entrance flickered wildly, almost going out. This also indicated that this demon hunter's strength was absurdly powerful. The demon hunter sat down in front of the counter, raised his head, and scrutinized Lin with his gaze. Lin immediately felt a burning pain on his skin. Just the gaze alone caused him harm, which showed how formidable this man was. I didn't expect to meet a living kin in this dark world. The demon hunter glanced at him and said. He took off a wine flask from his belt and took a sip, A strong, pungent alcohol scent hit Lin's nose. Ding! Task triggered, treat the demon hunter's injuries. Task reward. 500 skeleton coins, demon hunter favorability plus 50. Task failure penalty, killed by the demon hunter. Ding! Your kin bond has been triggered. Task failure penalty removed. Lin's heart skipped a beat. As soon as he saw the task failure penalty pop up, he sensed trouble. And as expected, his intuition was right. A demon hunter walking in the dark world naturally had no goodwill toward any monsters, and luckily he was also human, otherwise this powerful man would have definitely cleaved him with a single strike. Lin steadied his mind. He calmly looked at the demon hunter and smiled. May I ask which injuries you need me to treat? Beneath the tall hat, his pale lips moved slightly. Then he took off his cloak and turned around. In an instant, Lin's pupils contracted sharply. He saw his entire shoulder was pitch black and dark red, with chunks of black blood clots congealed on it, looking extremely terrifying. The injuries were truly dreadful. Lin immediately wondered what kind of existence could inflict such wounds on this demon hunter. The demon hunter hoarsely said, I was ambushed by a red-clothed vengeful ghost and nearly lost my life. I won't let her off, but first I need to heal my wounds. Ding! The system has completed a preliminary diagnosis for the host. The target's right shoulder is corroded by the black butterfly deadly poison. The poison has penetrated the bone, condition is severe. Black butterfly? Lin hesitated. The demon hunter slightly moved and sneered, You actually know this poison? Looks like I underestimated you. Lin forced a dry laugh. No, he didn't know it. He had just subconsciously repeated the key term from the system prompt. System, what is the black butterfly? He asked silently. Ding! The black butterfly is an aggregation in the dark world formed entirely from grudges and necrotic spiritual energy. It has extremely high corrosive and eroding effects on life. For ordinary creatures, once infected, they turn into pus and blood within 5 seconds. Lin was shocked. Without saying a word, Lin put on a full set of protective gear, including a mask and gloves. Can I treat this? He asked the system in his mind. Ding! You can attempt bone scraping detoxification for initial treatment. The demon hunter turned his head impatiently. Can we start now? Lin immediately regained focus, calmed himself, and wearing the mask said seriously, Sir, your injuries are quite severe. Judging from the condition, the poison has already invaded your bones. To treat it, we must first remove the tissue corroded by the poison. He raised 2 boning knives and said seriously, We need to perform a surgical debridement first. The demon hunter hesitated for a moment and asked, How good are your surgical skills? Lin nodded. Don't worry. I have very rich experience. Although this is only my 2nd time operating, the previous client gave me high praise. I'm confident. The demon hunter obviously paused for a while. It seemed he was weighing the pros and cons. Then Lin heard the hesitant voice beneath the tall hat. Are there any other medical shops nearby? Lin rubbed his 2 boning knives and said with a smile, Probably none. Even if there were, my master would have already dealt with them. We don't allow a second medical shop here, ha ha ha. There was a brief silence, the wind blowing the demon hunter's cloak. Then he turned around, exposing his shoulder, closed his eyes and said, Fine. I trust you this once. Go ahead with the operation. All right. Lin's face showed a satisfied smile. The 2 big knives clashed against each other in his hands with a loud clanging sound. Clang, clang, sparks flew everywhere. Faintly visible beneath the shadow of the tall hat, the demon hunter's scruffy mouth twitched slightly. Demon Hunter San -1. For some unknown reason, he always felt like he had come to the wrong place. This did not look like a medical shop at all. It felt more like a slaughterhouse. Could it be his imagination? Why did this seemingly weak little guy always give him the urge to turn around and run immediately? Do you need anesthesia? Lin asked excitedly, eager to try. No. The demon hunter took a sip of wine, glanced at him, and said indifferently, Anesthesia only slows my nerve reflexes. Real men never use anesthesia. Lin immediately gave a thumbs up and said seriously, Great, I've never used anesthesia on anyone either. This really hits my specialty perfectly. The demon hunter's heart skipped a beat. What did he just say? But before he could react, he heard the sharp sound of the knife piercing flesh, and his whole body stiffened instantly. He cracked his neck and looked at the knife stuck in his shoulder, stunned. Already starting? Lin calmly said. No, I'm just testing the knife. Oh. The demon hunter stared blankly, turned his head, and reached for his wine flask, instinctively wanting to take a drink. But for some reason, his hand holding the flask trembled slightly. However, it probably wasn't a big problem. This kid looked unreliable, but surely wouldn't dare to do anything malicious to offend a dignified demon hunter like himself. Pachai demon hunter, what the hell are you doing again? The demon hunter turned his head, eyes bloodshot, looking at the second knife stuck in his shoulder. Lin seriously held his toolbox and said, I'm finding the right size tools. I'm keeping these 2 knives inserted as backups for now. The demon hunter's eyes were bloodshot. Can't you keep the backups on the side? Why do you have to stick them in my shoulder? Lin shook his head calmly. Sir, I'm testing the sharpness of the surgical knives. You should understand that if a knife isn't sharp, it causes more pain when cutting, which is very undesirable. So as a doctor, I must ensure my knives perfectly fit your flesh. And the parts where the knives are inserted will be cut away anyway. You don't need to worry about the integrity of your shoulder. The demon hunter froze there. Damn, it made perfect sense. But was he really doing this on purpose? No matter how he heard it, it still sounded like a crooked excuse. Chapter 12, wouldn't that be a one-knife deal? Stop testing. He gritted his teeth, gripping the liquor bottle tightly with his other hand, saying, just use these 2 knives and clean the wound immediately. If you drag your feet any longer, I'll shoot you dead right now. He revealed the gleaming silver revolver at his waist. But, no buts, move to the next step immediately. He slammed the table with a fierce expression. Fine. Lin helplessly adjusted his monocle. Then, under the demon hunter's watchful gaze, Lin strode confidently to the back room, lifting the cloth curtain. Just as the demon hunter was wondering what trick he might pull next, Lin returned carrying a stove. Sizzle, he stirred the burning coals with a knife before plunging all the tools on the counter into the flames. Demon hunter's San-1. What are you doing? The demon hunter's eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Lin calmly picked up a scalding red-hot knife and explained, sterilization. Black butterfly is an extremely potent corrosive poison. To prevent any accidental seepage into your other tissues during debridement, the best method is high-temperature sterilization. It might hurt a little, but the results are outstanding. Clang, Lin tapped the glowing scalpel, sending sparks flying. The demon hunter suddenly felt his throat go dry. For some reason, a chill ran down his spine. Though what he said made sense. Back when he got injured before, he'd often cauterize wounds quickly with heat to prevent infection. But why did this feel so unreliable? Have you ever actually done this before? He asked warily. Lin replied earnestly, I haven't performed it myself, but I apprenticed under my master for 2 years. I've watched him do it many times. The demon hunter sighed in relief. Lin added, especially when slaughtering pigs and removing hair. A quick swipe with a red-hot blade and everything comes right off. Demon hunter? Several minutes later, Lin pulled the 2 glowing knives from the stove and calmly walked behind the demon hunter, declaring firmly, let's begin. This might sting a bit, try to endure it. The demon hunter clenched his fists tightly, grinding his teeth with eyes shut. Enduring is fine, but can you explain why there are so many plates laid out on the counter? Cooking? He roared, pointing at the array of plates before him and the napkin Lin had tied around his neck. Anyone would think he was here for dinner rather than surgery. Lin explained seriously, you're overthinking it, sir. These plates are for collecting the necrotic tissue we remove. We need to measure the exact amount to calculate the proper dosage of flesh regeneration potion. An incorrect dose could cause unnecessary tissue growth on your shoulder. This is for your own good. The demon hunter's teeth ground audibly. Just cut. If this weren't the only medical potion shop within hundreds of kilometers, he swore he'd never have stepped foot in this damned place. It reeked of being a scam. All right, beginning now. Lin's expression turned focused. Instantly, squelch squelch the sound of blades entering flesh, followed by continuous slicing and sizzling. ARGH, demon hunter, pain. Mother-seeking excruciating pain. Not just cutting pain, but burning pain with a hint of testicular agony. Got him it. Even layered pain like minced meat. Knife skills EXP +1. Knife skills EXP +1. Knife skills EXP +1. You can still take anesthesia if it hurts, Lin reminded helpfully. He wondered why this was boosting his knife skills rather than surgical expertise. FCK off, the demon hunter howled. Who says I'm in pain? I'm not hurting at all. He trembled while clutching the counter, face pale and shaking. Lin adjusted his monocle, deftly wielding the blades with his other hand, and coughed. Then, could you release my counter? And please retract your nails from the table edge. This is premium antique wood. Quite expensive. The demon hunter roared, I'll pay double. Can't I grip something? Cut harder. Hesitate again and I'll chop your hands off. Lin solemnly raised both knives. Those are the words I waited for. Now I'll really let loose. The demon hunter shuddered. Wait. Swish, 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 demon hunter, God. And why God? He watched in as slice after slice of blackened, meaty necrosis flew neatly onto the plates. The blade work was undeniably masterful, whether shaving noodles or slicing meat, anyone would applaud. But, are you operating or dismembering me? The demon hunter slapped the table wildly, eyes rolling back, body drenched in sweat. You're wasted as a doctor, should have been an executioner, such even slices. Stop. Stop now, Lin grew impatient. He smacked the table angrily. So many complaints, too slow, too fast, no anesthesia, so picky. The demon hunter clung to the counter, bellowing, Can't you just excise it all at once? Why slice piece by piece? Planning my funeral? Lin retorted. One chop, wouldn't that be a one-knife deal? The demon hunter gaped. Say what now? Lin glared. Precision matters. A single slash might be quick, but nick an artery and you'll die faster. I'm a doctor, a white-robed angel. Trust me, I treat patients like my own children. I'd never let my child die untreated. The demon hunter's lips quivered before he finally screamed. Cut, just cut, I'm never returning to this scam shop. Relax, post-surgery, you'll love my blades. Swish, 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 knife skills EXP +1. Knife skills EXP +1. Over 10 minutes later. The demon hunter lay slumped over the counter like a dead hog, white foam bubbling from his mouth, eyes rolled back with barely any pupils visible, body twitching, clearly unconscious. Gurgle, gurgle, he felt like he'd dreamed of a demon behind him, grinning wickedly while twin blades reduced him to slices. Then arranging his own meat before him for tasting. Done, initial debridement complete. Lin grabbed the liquor from the table, mixed in some medical alcohol, swished it in his mouth, then spat it onto the wound. Gyahhhh, an utterly terrified, soul-rending shriek. Chapter 13. If you move again, I'll shoot you. The demon hunter was instantly jolted awake from his fainting by the explosive impact of that strong liquor mixed with alcohol. He trembled and shivered as he stretched out his hand, crawling forward relentlessly, saying, Enough, let me go right now. Lin sharpened his knife seriously but with a cheerful smile. Go, guest, what a joke. We just finished cleaning and disinfecting. The most important step hasn't even been done yet. Guest, look closely. While you were unconscious, to help relax your mood a bit, I specially made a little design for you. Take a look, pretty nice, right? The demon hunter turned his head in terror and trembling, looking at the wound on his shoulder. Demon hunter San -20. Suddenly, the demon hunter felt utterly terrible. On his shoulder, over the eerie black bone, there was a distinct heart-shaped design carved into it by Lin. It even looked somewhat adorable. Don't you feel a bit more relaxed now? Lin asked seriously. The demon hunter growled. I fucking release you fucking, I'm going to fucking kill you. He shakily pulled out a revolver from his waist holster with a sharp sound. He aimed it at Lin. Swish. Lin threw a throwing knife that stabbed right onto the muzzle of the demon hunter's revolver and whispered, Guest, the operation isn't over yet. If you kill me now, that would be the biggest irresponsibility toward yourself. I'm saving you, and you want to kill me? Don't you think that's utterly shameless? I'm telling you, I have medical ethics. Even if you want to kill me, you have to wait until I finish the surgery. I absolutely will not allow my patient to give up halfway in my hands. He brushed the back of his hand against his monocle with a serious face, and the lens flashed with a sharp glint. The demon hunter trembled. Bang, 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 he fired a dozen shots into the ceiling. I warn you, don't make any more designs on me and stop messing around. What else do you want to do? Lin raised a small knife in his hand seriously. Scrape the bone? A few minutes later, the demon hunter looked tremblingly at the chains Lin had somehow pulled out, which were tying him up completely like a big dumpling. If you're going to scrape, just scrape. Why tie me up? You think these ordinary chains can really lock a demon hunter? You're way too naive. Lin kept a serious face, adjusted his glasses, and said, "Guest, it's not that I want to tie you up. I'm just afraid that during the operation, the pain will be unbearable and you'll raise your hand and shoot me. If I die, it's not a big deal, but if the surgery fails, that would be the greatest insult to me and the biggest irresponsibility to yourself. So out of necessity, I had no choice but to resort to this." Lin came behind him, raised the small knife, and said seriously and solemnly, "Guest, I'm going to scrape your bone. You have to endure it. This time, it's literally bone-piercing pain. Wait a moment, let me prepare." SSSSSSSSS. Ah! The demon hunter opened his mouth wide in terror and let out a long, chilling howl that made one shudder. If the earlier cleaning was like slicing through tough meat, this bone scraping was like someone repeatedly landing hundreds of uppercuts on your family jewels, bringing unbearable pain. "Fuck you! Fuck you!" the demon hunter roared fiercely, struggling violently, almost breaking the chains on his body. "Demon hunter fear of you +10. Demon hunter fear of you +10. Stop, stop, it hurts. It hurts!" The demon hunter screamed in terror, finally unable to hold on anymore. Lin gritted his teeth and struggled to suppress the demon hunter's thrashing. Holding the small knife, he scraped the pitch-black bone with swift strokes, saying, "Endure it, real men never fear pain. It's better to have short pain than long pain. Just grit your teeth and it'll pass." SSSSSSSS, knife skill +2. Knife skill +2. The demon hunter howled at the sky, trembling, and bit the chains fiercely, sparks flying everywhere. "Anesthetic, anesthetic, give me anesthetic immediately. I can't take it anymore." Lin scraped on, saying, "It's useless to give you anesthetic now. I can't inject it directly into your bones. Hang in there a bit longer. It'll be over soon." Knife skill +2. "I don't believe you for a second." The demon hunter roared and suddenly snapped the chains on his body. He stretched out his hand to grab the revolver on the counter. He wanted to shoot Lin. Seeing his move, Lin panicked. "Damn, I'm painstakingly scraping your bones to heal you, and you keep trying to shoot me. This is just outrageous." Outrageous, swish. Lin grabbed the revolver before him and shoved it straight into the demon hunter's mouth, furious. "Try moving again. If you don't cooperate with me, I'll shoot you. I'm telling you, I'm a doctor. You can insult my character, but you cannot insult my love for my patients. Today, I'm going all out to save you," Lin shouted. The demon hunter, terrified, held the gun barrel in his mouth, howled toward the sky, tears streaming down. "I'm done. I really don't want to do this anymore." After wandering in the dark world for years and suffering countless injuries, this was the first time he truly felt what it means to have no control over life and what it means to wish for death. "It hurts. This guy is scraping hard. Damn it, no more messing around. I'm bringing out the big guns." Lin rushed quickly to the backyard, then swiftly grabbed a chainsaw, gritting his teeth and charging back. The demon hunter. "San -10, San -10. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Don't come near me." The demon hunter backed away in terror. Lin yanked the chainsaw, which instantly roared to life with a SSSSSS sound. "Your bones are too hard. Scraping by hand would take hours. If we have time for that, why not just do it all at once? Using this big guy to scrape will definitely be short pain over long pain. I'm going in." "Wait a moment." SSSSSSS. Instantly, a chilling and terrified scream pierced the sky. Demon Hunter San -20. Demon Hunter San -20. "Boss, I'm here to buy a few bottles of recovery potions. Do you have new stock?" Outside the door, a long-haired female ghost floated sideways, her body light as air, clearly not a troublesome customer. But just as she reached the doorway, slap! A hand suddenly grabbed her ankle. Her expression froze. Then she saw behind the curtain a pale, lips trembling, dying demon hunter fiercely clutching the door threshold with one hand and grabbing her ankle with the other, trembling and saying, "Save me, save me." Then instantly, she heard the sound of the chainsaw buzzing behind the curtain. She blankly and shakily stretched out her pale hand, gently lifting a corner of the curtain. Chapter 14, The Customer Frightener. In an instant, her long hair, drooping from head to ankle, instantly frizzed up wildly. Behind the cloth curtain, a blood-covered youth with an expression was riding on top of that demon hunter, holding a chainsaw that hissed and rubbed against his shoulder. Sparks flew, bone fragments scattered everywhere, as if noticing the customers outside the curtain. Lin immediately raised his head, his expression seamlessly switching to a professional smile, revealing his clean and sharp teeth, and said, "Welcome, we have plenty of potions. Please come in and wait a moment. After I finish treating this guest, I'll get yours. It won't take long, hee hee." Lin let out a friendly laugh. "Long hair ghosts fear of you plus 30, long hair ghosts fear of you plus 40. Ah, the long-haired ghost clutched her head and let out a terrified howl. Under Lin's stunned gaze, the long-haired female ghost screamed, lost her footing, and limped while clutching her head, shrieking as she rushed into the black mist. "Ding, your fame and wandering souls alley +1. Ding, your fame and wandering souls alley +1. Ding, you successfully frightened a customer into developing a psychological disorder." The long-hair ghost's personality trait changed from lively to timid. "You have earned the achievement, Customer Frightener. Customer Frightener, due to extreme perversion, you frequently cause customers to panic excessively. The apprentice of Bloodsaw Potion Shop is walking down a path of no return. You gain a permanent stacking effect. Customers' fear of you permanently +1, pain inflicted +1. Lin was stunned. "Countless?" floated above his head. "How did I become a customer frightener? I have always upheld the principle of customer first, sincere treatment, and smiling service. This damn system can't just randomly give out strange achievements." Trying to run, Lin forcefully pinned down the demon hunter who was crawling forward, grabbed the chainsaw, and revved it up. "Forget it, I'll treat this patient first. SSSSSSS, God, finally." After more than 10 minutes, Lin threw down the chainsaw with extreme satisfaction, smiling as he looked at the polished, gleaming white bone, blowing on it gently, and said, "Guest, it's done. The toxin that had invaded the surface layer of the bone has been completely cleaned out. Now, we just need to let the flesh regenerate further, and your shoulder will be as good as new." Lin wiped the sweat off his forehead, his face showing the sincere and glorious smile of hard work. This feeling of saving a life, more valuable than building a 7-story pagoda, truly inspires a person's soul to elevate. "Guest, are you satisfied with the result?" "Guest?" Lin turned his head in confusion, then immediately saw the demon hunter's whole body twitching uncontrollably, expression on his face, countless white foams surging from his mouth, his eyes rolled so far back that the whites were barely visible. "Guest? Guest?" Lin was shocked beyond words. More than half an hour later. "Ding, using special means, you successfully incapacitated the legendary demon hunter beyond your rank. You have earned the achievement reward, Pain Inflictor. Pain Inflictor. Achievement title, permanently increases the host's pain inflicted by various tools by 5%. Lin listened in a daze as this ridiculous system notification echoed in his mind. On the operating table in front of him, the demon hunter finally slowly regained consciousness from his delirium. "You're awake?" As soon as he opened his eyes, Lin's professional smile was reflected in them. Alert almost reflexively, the demon hunter suddenly leapt up from the operating table, firing dozens of shots in Lin's direction. Don't come near. Demon Hunter San -10. Demon Hunter San -5. Demon Hunter San -1. He was terrified, holding a revolver, still shaken. Opposite him, Lin widened his eyes and leaned against the wall in a spread eagle posture, those dozen bullets outlining a perfect silhouette on his body. "Calm down, please calm down. Forget those unpleasant memories. Rest assured, I have already treated your injuries." Lin held out both hands and said seriously and authoritatively. He skillfully pushed the chainsaw aside with his foot so as to prevent the guest from associating it with any unpleasant memories. The demon hunter panted, trying hard to calm himself. Then he turned his head and looked at his shoulder. There, it was wrapped in thick gauze. Aside from some stiffness when moving the shoulder, the hollow feeling caused by missing flesh was gone, and the tearing pain brought by the black butterfly toxin was no longer present. It was as if the terrifying experience was just a dream. The demon hunter said in surprise, "That fast?" Lin replied seriously, almost fully recovered. After removing the toxin-infected damaged muscle tissue and superficial bone fragments from your shoulder, the remaining issue is how to quickly regrow your flesh. Lin held the empty potion bottle in his hand. I used the best flesh regeneration potion from the shop on you. Plus, your constitution is naturally extraordinary with strong vitality, so most of the missing flesh has already grown back. Only a small central part, too far from surrounding flesh tissue, needed some supplemental flesh. Don't worry, I've eliminated any rejection reaction. The demon hunter was stunned. He hastily tore off the gauze on his shoulder. His shoulder had truly been restored to its original state, soft and pink. At the very center of the wound, a patch of flesh with a slightly different skin tone could faintly be seen. Fair and tender, with a single hair standing upright on it. Pork! The demon hunter instantly freaked out, grabbed Lin's collar, lifted him up, glaring and grinding his teeth. Lin quickly raised both hands to show he was innocent. Guest, although the process may have been unpleasant, the result is still very perfect, isn't it? Lin blinked, survival instinct fully activated. Besides, I can guarantee you that if any relapse happens in the future, you can come to me anytime for a free second treatment. I will definitely ensure your satisfaction. The demon hunter trembled and said, "Second treatment. You're still thinking of giving me a second treatment?" Demon hunter's emotion extremely unstable. Crisis level plus 30%. Crisis level plus 50%. Crisis level plus 99%. Guest, Lin said solemnly, I am a doctor. Although there were some small twists during treatment, think about this. Compared to rotting to death with black butterfly toxins spreading throughout your body, what is that little pain from bone scraping therapy? Living is the most important thing of all. Calm experience plus 1. Calm experience plus 1. Ding, target danger level decreasing. Finally. After Lin's barrage of bitter motivational speeches, the demon hunter gritted his teeth and let go of Lin's collar. He took a deep breath, put Lin down, and said through gritted teeth, "As expected of my own kind, surviving in the dark world until now really takes skill. This torturous method is indeed top-notch." Lin scratched the back of his head and smiled cheerfully. "You flatter me. You flatter me? Do you think I'm complimenting you?" The demon hunter grabbed Lin's collar again, lifted him up, eyes bloodshot, grinding his teeth, and said, "You never performed surgery on anyone before, did you?" Lin quickly shook his head, raised 3 fingers seriously, and said, "I swear I have. I just did a cesarean section. Both mother and child are safe. They even praised me." Chapter 15, Revolver Born to Show Off. The demon hunter was stunned. "You dare perform bone-scraping therapy on me just because you once did a cesarean section on someone?" He honestly wished he could tear this kid apart alive and swallow him whole right now. But in the end, he still held back. Because, truthfully, although the process was far from pleasant, this guy really did heal his injuries. He finally took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing the maddening and restless emotions inside him. He put Lin down. With a stern gaze locked on his eyes, grinding his teeth and closing his eyes, he said heavily, "Remember this. If I hear any rumors outside that I fainted here, you should know what the consequences will be. Do you understand?" Danger level 99%. Lin widened his eyes and nodded his head like a bobblehead. "Don't worry, customer privacy is our lifeblood." Danger level 10%. The demon hunter took a deep breath, put on his hat, then pulled out a coin pouch from his chest pocket, grinding his teeth as he said, "How much is the surgery fee? Name your price." Anyway, he would definitely never come back to this shady shop again. Too exhausting. Lin immediately shook his head, wearing a sincere and adorable smile, hands pressed together. "No need to pay. Consider this surgery a favor from your fellow kin. Just make sure to visit this little shop often in the future." Ding, you completed a task and received skeleton coins X500. Visit my ass. The demon hunter took a deep breath, holding his gun with closed eyes. "Don't think that flattering me will make me forget what happened just now. Even if you are my kin, it won't change a thing." He naturally saw Lin's attempt to climb onto his big tree right away. But he always worked alone. Besides, he absolutely did not want to carry around a brat who would constantly remind him of this painful memory. He glanced at Lin, put on his clothes and hat, speaking in a low voice. "Also, I advise you not to stay here too long. Creatures like us humans, if we don't have some way to survive, will sooner or later become a monster's meal." Seeing this, Lin immediately knew the opportunity had come. Although this demon hunter often wanted to kill him on a whim, it was obvious that he treated his kin well. At least, he hadn't really killed him. "So how can I leave this world?" Lin immediately asked earnestly. "To be honest, I accidentally fell into this world. Besides this little shop, I know nothing about the outside world." The demon hunter tidied his glossy black hair, sneering coldly. "Ha, you're lucky. Many people have fallen here from other worlds, but most of them have become monster meals. I can only tell you this. This is the bottom layer of Sin City. If you want to leave this world, aside from dying, the only way is to become strong enough. Only the strong have any chance to escape from here." He twirled the revolver in his hand, casually lifting the brim of his hat with the gun barrel. Lin, all right, saying that was basically saying nothing, but at least he finally got a crucial clue. The Wandering Souls alley he was in was a bottom-level area of a place called Sin City. Lin murmured, "Then I'm stuck in this hellhole for life? Every time I see those monsters, I'm scared to death." That can't be right. The demon hunter ground his teeth, twitching wildly at the corner of his eye. "With the kind of treatment you just gave me, the monsters here should be scared of you to death instead. Damn it." He glanced at Lin lightly and said, "Enough nonsense. I'm a man of fair trade. Since you healed my wounds, I can't treat you unfairly. If you don't want coins, look around for anything valuable on me. You can take whatever you want." He opened his hand, fully showing what it meant to be a demon hunter with bold generosity. Lin paused. His gaze immediately landed on the two metal revolvers hanging at the demon hunter's waist. Demon Hunter Revolver, Cursed, Pale Demon Slayer. Quality, Legendary Capacity. 6-shot demon hunting bullets, auto-replenishing. Description: one of 2 demon hunting guns that demon hunter Orkalos brought from the earthly world. It deals extremely high damage to evil spirits, vampires, demons, monsters, and mysterious beings. Snap, Lin grabbed one of the guns. Snap, the demon hunter grabbed his wrist. An eerie silence fell around them. The corner of the demon hunter's eyes slightly curled as he sneered. "Damn good eye. You just picked the most expensive thing on me," Lin said seriously. "I think these 2 guns are really cool." The demon hunter sneered. "Of course they're cool. Don't you see whose guns these are? Can they be ugly? Do you often use these 2 guns to hunt monsters?" "No, I've never used them to kill a single monster," the demon hunter said coldly. "Why?" Swish, 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 the demon hunter lightly flicked his fingers, spinning both revolvers in his hands. Then instantly, the 2 dark barrels aimed at Lin's head. "Lin?" The demon hunter's expression was indifferent as he pulled the trigger. Bang, 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 bang. Gunshots rang one after another, a total of 12 shots fired. Lin stood there with a shocked expression, and on the wall behind him appeared an outline of his head made by bullet holes. "Ah!" The demon hunter gently blew the black smoke drifting from the bullet holes, calmly saying, "Although they're really cool, these 2 guns have a fatal flaw. You probably noticed it just now." Lin shocked. An outline of a human body?" The demon hunter sneered. "A human outline? That's a vivid description. More accurately, these 2 guns were once cursed. You can understand it as, no matter what angle you shoot from, your bullets will never hit the target. So?" He calmly lowered the guns and said, "Besides showing off, these guns can only be used for showing off." A brief silence. Lin blankly said, "Then I don't want them." Lin turned to leave. Bang, 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 bullets fired rapidly at his feet, making Lin jump up in shock and quickly press against the wall. The demon hunter held the smoking guns, calmly saying, "Since you already picked them, you can't refuse. I'm a man who values fairness and keeping promises. If you refuse, it means you look down on me. So I'll give you one more chance. Do you want them or not?" Lin glared. "I want them." The demon hunter's stubbled mouth curled slightly. He twirled the guns skillfully and slapped them on the surgery table. "As expected of my kin, truly generous. If it weren't for the curse preventing me from actively discarding these 2 guns, I would have thrown them away long ago. Now that you're willing to take them off my hands, I'm quite relieved." Lin was shocked. "What do you mean?" The demon hunter smiled faintly. "Because of the curse, I can't get rid of these guns. Only a kin showing a strong desire for them through fair trade can complete the transaction. But you also know there are very few humans in this hellhole. It's really not easy to find someone to take these off my hands." Demon Hunter favorability plus 20. Favorability actually increased. Lin, annoyed. The Demon Hunter pressed his hat, turned, and walked slowly toward the hall, saying, "Since you helped me such a big favor, I can tell you some news. Tonight, no matter what sounds you hear outside, don't try to go out or open the door. There are some formidable guys here." At those words, Lin froze instantly. Because that was also his teacher's warning to him. Lin immediately asked, "What kind of monsters?" The Demon Hunter sneered, "I think it's better for you not to know. Also, if you live till tomorrow, I think we'll meet again, hee." At the next moment, the Demon Hunter's body turned into a wisp of blue smoke and slowly disappeared in front of Lin. Chapter 16, No Way, Then Die Outside. The main hall. Lin toyed with the revolver in his hand, pondering over the Demon Hunter's words from earlier. He glanced outside the main door. He wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but as night fell, the darkness outside seemed thicker than usual. He checked the time. There was still about half an hour left before the soul lamp would go out, signaling the onset of the dark world's night. There shouldn't be any visitors at this hour anyway. Lin continued fiddling with the revolver, his gaze falling on the evil infant resting on the counter. Evil blood infant. Level, 7 attribute, chaotic evil description. A ghost spirit formed from accumulated resentment and ghostly energy, further fused with a large amount of sacrificial blood energy. Once formed, it will devour the host's soul and flesh, gradually growing stronger to become a calamity. No need to check on it for a while. The evil infant had already grown to level 7. With such a terrifying growth rate, it wouldn't take long before it became extremely difficult to deal with. Could it be that the gun really is like he said, no matter what, it can't hit the target? Lin hesitated. He stood up, placed the evil infant on the stool in front of the counter, then closed one eye, aiming at the infant's head. Bang, a bullet zipped past the infant's ear. Evil blood infant fear level plus 10. Evil blood infant. Lin raised an eyebrow and blew the black smoke from the barrel, saying, "Seriously can't miss." He was a bit skeptical. Well, there's still half an hour left. Might as well use it to practice shooting. Lin's expression remained calm. Bang, evil blood infant fear level plus 10. Bang, evil blood infant fear level plus 10. Bang. Very quickly, half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. With a whoosh, the soul lamp hanging on the door pillar suddenly went out without warning. Without hesitation, Lin immediately raised his head, his expression serious, and quickly rushed to the door to retrieve the soul lamp. The darkness outside grew even denser, silent without a single sound. Lin knew. The night had fallen. Creak, he promptly closed the door, locking it with a rusty iron chain. All the windows on both sides of the door were tightly boarded up without leaving the slightest gap. The experiences of the past 2 years had already told him that as soon as the soul lamp went out and night fell, it was a huge test for you, because under these circumstances, anyone could break into your sanctuary without your permission. That lump of flesh his teacher cut off this morning was from the monster that snuck in last night. But without his teacher guarding today, this would definitely be a sleepless night for him. Ding, you have triggered the quest, Sleepless Night. Quest requirement, survive until dawn. Quest reward, 500 skeleton coins, level +1, special reward zone. Lin's heart skipped a beat, but his expression quickly returned to calm. This was no good sign. Triggering a quest meant there was a high chance of a major crisis tonight, because the reward this time was a full 500 skeleton coins. Usually, the higher the reward, the greater the danger. Let's go. Lin grabbed the already terrified evil infant, picked up the boning knife, tucked in the revolver, and quickly returned to his small attic. Under the heavy quilt, clutching the boning knife, his expression calm, he closed his eyes and said, "Hopefully this night will pass safely." Boom, a loud bell toll rang out in the dark night. Lin immediately opened his eyes. The bell meant it was already midnight. At that moment, urgent knocking suddenly came from the front door downstairs. Lin, open the door quickly. I'm your teacher. Evil spirits are chasing me. Hurry, let me in. Suppressed and painful voices. Teacher? Lin suddenly sat up on the bed. He grabbed the boning knife and rushed swiftly to the main hall. Then he immediately saw the door trembling with pounding knocks and heard the violent gasps and suppressed groans outside. That was his teacher's voice. Lin, quick, open the door. Teacher is no longer holding on. Lin nodded. He held the boning knife and rushed to the door. Then he stabbed the knife through the crack in the door with a puch sound. Puch! Crimson blood instantly sprayed out from the crack. Lin shouted, "Teacher, if you're already done for, then die outside." A brief silence. Then came the dull voice from outside the door. "You aren't even sure if I'm your teacher and you stabbed me right away?" Puch! Lin withdrew the knife, changed angle, and stabbed again. "Because if I were outside, my teacher would do the same to me," Lin said seriously. Brief silence again. And then, in the next moment, a series of piercing screams erupted outside the door. The knocking grew more intense and louder, as if something was pressed against the door, frantically trying to squeeze in. Crack! With a loud noise, a bloodied, almost rotten hand suddenly broke through the door panel and stretched inside. Lin San -10. Creak, creak, the hand clawed at the door panel repeatedly, making sharp, piercing sounds. "I'm going to eat you. I'll tear you to pieces and chew on you bit by bit." A hideously vicious voice came from outside the door. Lin was not the least bit flustered. He grabbed the boning knife. With one slash, he nailed the hand onto the door panel. Suddenly, sharp and twisted howls rang out outside. At the same time, crimson blood seeped through the wooden board continuously. For a while, the whole hall was filled with a nauseating stench of blood. Lin knew. This time he was facing some particularly troublesome evil spirits. But Lin was not afraid, because he clearly understood that the more dangerous the moment, the calmer you must be to increase your chance of survival. Without another word, Lin quickly pulled a bright red hair strand from his wrist. Evil spirit hair strand. This was one of the rewards he received from the system during the day. Now it was just the right time to use it. SSS, the hair strand, upon touching the bloodied, rotten hand, rapidly spread and wound outside the door. In just a few seconds, the sharp laughter outside abruptly stopped. Instead, gasping sounds like choking replaced it. It was as if something had its throat restrained, struggling wildly outside the door. "Looks like it's just a minor ghost, not very strong." Lin gritted his teeth. He grabbed the wildly growing hair strand, quickly hung it on the beam above, and then pulled hard. Sizzle, 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 sounds of flesh tearing came continuously from outside. Along with the tearing sounds, the struggling frequency of the hand nailed to the door panel grew more intense. Finally, the hand slowly drooped down. It seemed lifeless, but Lin didn't relax in the slightest. He pulled out the boning knife and through the door crack, stabbed over 100 times with repeated puch sounds before finally easing up. One of the survival tips in this world. No matter if the opponent is dead or not, hacking a few more times never hurts. Chapter 17, Can't Cure It, Eat It. Almost at the same time, a system notification sounded in Lin's ear. Ding. You have killed Flesh Fraudster Zone. You gained 100 experience points. Hearing the system prompt, Lin finally relaxed. In other words, the monster just now wasn't truly dead. It only finally kicked the bucket after he stabbed it more than 100 times. Lin wiped the blood off his knife, feeling conflicted. Because he knew his teacher definitely wouldn't come back at this time, and even if it was really his teacher, the stabbing had to happen, because if it were himself outside, his teacher would stab him too. But it seemed tonight was truly going to be a sleepless one. It was just past midnight, and a monster had already come knocking on his door. Who knew what might happen in the later hours? Lin spoke aloud, just about to clean the bloodstains on the ground, but at that moment, warning. Warning, a source-level monster is approaching. Crisis level 100%. Lin froze instantly, but reacted quickly, pressing himself against the outer wall, staring intently at the door from the side, holding his breath. Source level? What the hell was going on? Could it be the big guy the demon hunter mentioned would appear tonight? And just at the next moment, he suddenly felt a huge chill spreading across his skin. Lin's eyes immediately widened. The hand of the flesh monster that had reached into the doorframe twitched. Then, as if something had violently yanked it outward, that rotting hand was instantly pulled back. Without hesitation, Lin slashed through the wraith strands hanging from the beam. A wave of chilling mist spread in through the hole in the door panel. Lin held his breath. Faintly, he could hear a series of chewing sounds from outside, like chewing on ribs. Crunch, crunch. In other words, that source-level monster was out on the street, and this kind of chilling aura was the first time Lin had encountered it. The demon hunter hadn't lied. Tonight was definitely not peaceful outside. Damn it. He couldn't be this lucky, right? He actually ran into it. At that moment, a series of heavy tremors came from outside the door. Boom, boom, it sounded like some huge creature was slowly moving along the street, getting closer, closer. Then, at the next moment, when that sound was just a few meters from the shop's door, it abruptly stopped. Lin immediately held his breath. Dimly, he saw a beam of light shining through the hole made by the flesh monster. Lin was certain that light was the gaze of that unknown monster. He stood still like a statue, pressed against the wall. At that moment, through the hole in the doorframe less than a meter from him, a huge eye was peering inside. Lin could even hear his own heartbeat. Slick, slick, outside came the sound of licking on the door panel. San -1, San -1. Lin's eyes widened, he didn't dare move. But for some reason, the slick licking sound seemed oddly cute, like a little girl squatting right in front of you, licking, licking. But at that moment, Lin suddenly saw a blood-red tentacle, resembling a tongue in texture, slowly probing through the hole. San -40? No, retract what I just said. This had absolutely nothing to do with cute. Lin froze like a statue, terrified. Then, under his gaze, that blood-red tentacle began licking the fresh blood on the inside of the door panel bit by bit with gusto. And like it wasn't satisfied, the tentacle slowly crawled toward Lin. Slick, slick, like a tongue, the tentacle left one licking trace after another on Lin's face. Lin was dumbfounded, his whole body stiff. His sanity plummeted. If it had been him 2 years ago, or any other human, he would have screamed and run away like mad by now. But Lin wasn't an ordinary person. He knew very well that if he dared to run now, or showed any sign of panic or fear, he would be eaten immediately by the monster outside. Just then, outside the door, a voice sounded like a baby's. "Doctor found you." Lin's heart skipped a beat. Then the voice came again. "Open the door, toothache." Lin, hey, something was wrong. Could it be that this monster outside wasn't here to eat him, but to seek medical treatment? Lin forced himself to stay calm and glared. "But our little shop doesn't accept customers at night." That was the shop rule. As the sole apprentice of his teacher, following the rules was his biggest virtue. If the rule said no customers at night, then no customers at night it was. No customers, then I'll eat you. Here it comes. Lin quickly pulled out the key, unlocked, and opened the door in one fluid motion. Bloodsaw Potion, shop sincerely at your service. Lin bowed deeply at a perfect 90 degrees. Our shop adheres to the fine tradition of curing diseases with medicine and curing diseases with the blade. How may I assist you? Who? A chilling aura instantly rushed in from outside. After seeing the full appearance of the monster outside, Lin's heart pounded wildly and his sanity dropped even faster. Because what the hell kind of monster was this? San -20. San -20. More precisely, it was a human head, a baby's head as tall as 2 floors, no torso. From the neck sprouted countless dense red tentacles resembling snakes. Its huge eyes shone like spotlights, emitting 2 dim white beams. Lin's vision immediately displayed its info panel. Level, species, combat power, run. Description: if you hear a baby's laughter in the dark, if you see pure gaze in despair, please do not respond, for that is not hope, but the abyss. Lin, but he still forced himself to stay calm. Because he knew if he ran now, he would undoubtedly be devoured instantly. Calm, must stay calm, just treat it like a normal customer. Lin, you can do this. Creak, the giant baby head slowly opened its mouth. Instantly, a stench so foul hit Lin's face he nearly fainted. Toothache, doctor. A huge, grotesque baby head, yet its mouth emitted a delicate childlike voice. And those blood-dripping sharp teeth were eerily capable of wiping out sanity on the spot. Can't cure it, eat it. Lin San -10. Why was this voice unexpectedly kind of cute? Chapter 18, the adorably cute appearance. Lin stared wide-eyed, cold sweat soaking through the back of his clothes. But no matter what, since he came here for treatment, it meant his life was not in immediate danger. Lin's eye twitched uncontrollably as he put on his mask, staring at that blood-red giant mouth and the rows of sharp teeth stained with flesh and blood. Don't worry, it can definitely be cured. A toothache is just a minor problem. Which tooth is hurting? Lin asked, eyes wide. The molar, that baby-headed voice came out. Lin peered into the giant blood basin of a mouth, but it was too deep inside and the lighting too dim to see clearly. Lin gritted his teeth and made a bold decision. Open your mouth wide, I'll diagnose it right now. Ah, the baby-headed creature opened its mouth wider. Ding, you have triggered the quest, treat the toothache. Quest rewards. Special reward zone, favor plus 50, skeleton coins plus 1,000. Quest failure penalty, none. Lin, of course none, because I'm definitely going to fail. What else could it be? Lin took a deep breath, calming his mind. At times like this, you can only try your best with whatever you have. Stay calm, just treat it like an ordinary kid. You can do this. Lin cautiously climbed onto the baby-headed creature's mouth, jumped onto its tongue coating, and holding back the stench, headed toward the molar. The deeper he went, the worse the stench became. No light, I can't see clearly, Lin shouted. A terrifying scene unfolded. A tentacle slowly extended toward the baby head's upper area, then Lin immediately saw the tentacle wrapping around one of the baby's eyeballs and entering the giant mouth. Suddenly, a pale light illuminated the entire oral cavity. Lin was drenched in cold sweat. Now it's clear, he shouted. He didn't dare delay and turned his gaze toward the direction of the molar. Faintly, he could see all around the teeth, various remnants of food stuck everywhere, broken hands, shattered skulls, entrails, and rotten flesh. It was an extraordinarily horrific and ghastly scene. Obviously, this monster's diet was very rich. San -1. San -1. Lin endured the heart-stopping terror and began searching carefully. In the next moment, his gaze instantly landed on a long spear stuck in the molar. Holy spear damaged. Quality, legendary. Description: a spear dropped from an unknown world into the dark world, imbued with holy blessings. It has strong restraining effects on evil spirits, eerie creatures, and demons. Lin's heart stirred. It seemed he had found the cause of the monster's toothache. But what he never expected was that this was a weapon from outside the dark world with the same function as the demon hunter's pistol. And it was holy attribute. Could it be that this spear caused the monster intense pain? Lin's expression was hesitant. He cautiously approached and immediately saw that a sticky severed hand was still attached to the front of the spear. Obviously, the spear's wielder had been swallowed whole by the monster. The rest of the body had already been digested, but the weapon was stuck hard in the monster's tooth. "Customer, I found the cause of the toothache," Lin shouted. That delicate, horrifying voice came. "Pull it out, can't pull it out, eat it," Lin steadied his mind. Then his gaze instantly landed on the many severed limbs and arms around the molar. Demon Medic's tentacle fragment zone. Evil spirit witch doctor's arm zone. Purgatory mad doctor's eyeball zone. Lin's heart pounded fiercely. Obviously, this damn thing hadn't swallowed its first doctor yet. It must have visited many doctors before coming here, and judging by the situation, this patient's temper was definitely not small. If it says it will eat you, it absolutely will. But Lin soon found a common point among those doctors. They were all monsters from the dark world. And this spear clearly had a very strong restraining effect on monsters. Their inability to pull it out obviously had a reason. But he was different. He was human. He wouldn't be restrained by holy power. Maybe this would become his great advantage. Lin steadied his mind, approached the stinky molar, moved his hands, then grabbed it firmly. Buzz, the spear emitted a faint, dim glow and quickly faded away. No backlash, just as he guessed. Lin steadied his mind. "I'm going to pull it out," Lin shouted. Then Lin immediately exerted all his strength, gripping the spear with both hands and bracing one foot against the molar, pulling hard outward. He used all his strength because his life was on the line. Now it depended on whether he could pull out this thorn. If he pulled it out, everything would be fine. If not, he would be mixed in a stew with his colleagues around here. Crack, 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 crack. "It's loosening." The eyeball that was lighting for Lin showed a joyful expression. Seeing success within reach, Lin pulled the spear out even harder, gritting his teeth, but his strength was still too small. Besides slight loosening, pulling it further outward became increasingly difficult. "Give me a hand, give me a hand." Lin gritted his teeth and shouted at the tentacles excitedly watching outside the mouth. A brief pause. The tentacles immediately swarmed in, wrapping around Lin's waist one by one, pulling hard outward. But besides nearly giving Lin a brain hemorrhage from the strangling, the spear's progress was still extremely slow. Lin grew anxious. Stop for now, listen to my command. When I say 1, 2, 3, everyone pulls together. Got it? Got it. Lin took a deep breath, held the spear tighter, expression growing serious. 1, 2, 3, pull, Lin shouted. Instantly, Lin and the tentacles all pulled with all their might. 1, 2, 3, pull. Hup. 1, 2, 3, pull. With a huge momentum, the spear was finally yanked out of the mouth by Lin and the many tentacles, flying out and landing heavily on the ground. Success! Lin stared blankly at the spear. So that meant he finally wouldn't die? Favor plus 20. But it still hurts a lot. The giant head with its mouth open lowered one eyeball, its gaze like a spotlight shining down on Lin. Lin looked inside and his gaze landed on the large hole left in the tooth after pulling out the spear. At this moment, the hole was spurting blood like a fountain. Wait a moment. Without a word, Lin smiled slightly, rushed back to the shop, rummaged through boxes, and took out a large amount of anesthetic and hemostatic medicine. Since the foreign object had been pulled out, the next steps were much simpler. And if you ignored the monster's horrifying appearance, it wasn't much different from other customers. He dashed back. Bleeding is a normal reaction, but to fully recover, further treatment is needed. Keep your mouth open and don't move. Having found the cause and pulled out the culprit spear causing the toothache, the following matters were much easier. After all, this was his area of expertise. Lin's expression was serious as he quickly climbed back into the mouth, reaching the bleeding molar. This time, he was much more skilled. Although the hole was only fist-sized, it had obviously penetrated the root of the tooth. He hadn't looked carefully earlier, but now it was clear the inside of the tooth had been invaded by holy power, faintly shining. Clearly, the holy power leaking out was continuously causing pain to the monster, but the bleeding was too severe. It was very difficult to apply the hemostatic and pain relief medicine deep into the tooth root. Lin thought for a moment. His gaze immediately landed on the eyeball that had followed him in to check the situation and on the blood-red tentacle beside it. Smooth and cute-looking. Smooch! Lin quickly grabbed that tentacle. Customer, do you want to keep this tentacle? I need to use it to stop your pain, Lin shouted. Lin cut off that adorably cute tentacle in one slice. The baby-headed monster. Chapter 19. The dentist of a primordial-level monster. In an instant, countless tentacles that had been watching outside the mouth surged wildly forward, ready to attack Lin. But they quickly stopped. Lin was seen holding the severed tentacle, pressing it into a wooden basin with a serious expression. He poured bottle after bottle of medicine into the basin, then took out a syringe, and creaked as he injected the medicine deep into the tentacle. The tentacles froze in place, curiously holding the eyeball and looking on. A few minutes later, "Light it up!" Lin grabbed the medicine-filled tentacle and shouted loudly. He was completely in the zone now. The tentacle holding the eyeball trembled noticeably and quickly aimed the eyeball's beam at the bleeding molar. Lin jumped up angrily and aimed the medicine-filled tentacle at the cavity. His expression was serious, then he forcefully shoved it inside. "Yah!" the monster baby cried out in pain. The tentacle went in all at once, but it was obvious. The tentacle in his hand was somewhat too large, and the opening was so narrow that to push it deep inside, he had to rely on strong tools for assistance. He had no choice but to force it in. The next moment, Lin quickly jumped down and sprinted back to his little shop. A few minutes later, Lin was carrying a large amount of tools and swiftly climbed back into the monster's mouth. "What are you doing?" The eyeball trembled noticeably. Lin's expression was indifferent, holding a hammer in one hand and an iron rod in the other, wearing a mask, and using the back of his hand to adjust his monocle. The next moment, with a pop, Lin stabbed the iron rod onto the tentacle pressed against the cavity. The monster baby's head. Very soon, a loud metallic impact echoed. Lin angrily held the big hammer and repeatedly smashed the iron rod, pushing the tentacle deeper and deeper into the tooth cavity. Smack! "Yah!" smack. "Ah!" Sparks flew everywhere, thunder and lightning flashing. Lin continuously summoned all his strength, swinging the big hammer, determined to force the rod into the deepest part of the cavity. The tentacles and the eyeball watching inside the mouth all cowered in a corner, trembling in fear as they watched Lin fiercely swing the hammer. Pain, pain, pain. The monster baby's head started violently shaking. Obviously, the violent repeated impacts caused it a tearing kind of pain. This is normal, bear with it. Once we reach the deepest part, it will stop hurting. You have to trust my professional skill. After hundreds of continuous swings, the tentacle filled with medicine was finally hammered into the tooth cavity by Lin. No pain anymore. The eyeball showed a stunned expression. Wiping sweat from his brow, Lin smiled lightly, holding the iron rod. Of course, the medicine has already started working, but this is just the beginning. To have healthy teeth, further processing is needed. Trust in U plus 20. The eyeball nodded vigorously, expressing trust with sparkling eyes. Clearly, after Lin's excellent efforts just now, the monster had begun to trust him somewhat. Lin calculated the time. About 5 minutes passed. All right. We can start work now. Lin raised his head, serious, and picked up his master's electric drill from beside him, pulling hard. Sizzle, sparks flew everywhere. Goggles! The surrounding tentacles quickly handed Lin goggles. Light it up! The tentacles immediately raised the eyeball, aiming its beam at Lin's work area. Lin spat on his hands, jabbed hard, and picked up the drill to begin the thrilling operation on the molar. The inside of this tooth has been eroded by sacred energy. This is the main reason for your toothache. If we don't remove all the sacred substances inside, once the medicine wears off, the pain will be unbearable. So we need to do an initial cleaning, then fix you up with a strong, solid tooth. I see, so that's it. Trust in U plus 20. The eyeball curiously and blankly shone light for Lin. Sizzle, 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 Lin carefully used the drill to grind away all the glowing substances inside the tooth bit by bit. Bring a bucket, Lin shouted. A tentacle quickly rushed into the shop, wrapping around a wooden bucket and handing it over. Lin's expression was serious as he swiftly put all the ground tooth powder into the bucket. Bring water, Lin shouted again. The tentacle quickly wrapped around a large water jar and rushed in. Lin wiped all the powder around the tooth clean, then his expression became serious. What else is needed? As if sensing Lin's doubt, a delicate yet eerie voice came. Lin said solemnly, materials for filling the tooth, but I don't have enough here, otherwise I could fill you with a shiny steel tooth. Steel? Lin thought for a moment. Yes, but to restock, it will have to wait until at least tomorrow. At this hour, it's really. I have steel, Lin was stunned. Before he could fully process it, he immediately felt the ground tremble beneath him, then saw the outside buildings rapidly retreating. Obviously, the huge head was moving quickly. And in the next moment, they stopped outside the giant iron building's gate. Before Lin could react, the tongue inside its mouth suddenly shot out like a blade. The entire building was instantly split in two. Steel puppet. Level, race, puppet attribute. Chaotic evil combat ability. Extremely strong, description. Steel puppets active in the dark world. Since gaining willpower under dark energy, these invincible powerful beings have become the nightmare of the dark world's residents. Lin, he had seen this monster once before. A similar puppet had rushed into their shop causing destruction. His master had fought it for over 10 hours with a chainsaw before forcing it to retreat. Now it had brought him here again. Bang, a loud crash. A puppet inside the iron building was caught off guard and was instantly flattened into a steel pancake by the baby head's tongue. Lin was dumbfounded. This was ridiculous. Both were level, but the difference was huge. One enough, the baby-like voice asked. Bang, another steel puppet was directly flattened. Two, then, bam, 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 enough, enough. Actually, one was already enough. Smelting, forging, molding. With the baby head's tough tongue hammering, Lin spent only a few hours forging a steel tooth perfectly matching the tooth's gap. Then using a strong adhesive, he precisely welded the steel tooth to the molar. After a series of polishing and buffing, a brand new tooth finally shone brightly under Lin's skilled operation. Perfect! Lin wiped the sweat from his head and smiled with satisfaction, feeling a spiritual elevation. Ding! You have completed the task and received 1,000 skeleton coins. Favorability plus 50, special reward. Critical potion recipe zone. Ding! You have earned the unique achievement, Dentist of the Origin Level Monster. Dentist of the Origin Level Monster. You are the first human brave enough to treat the teeth of an Origin Level monster successfully. You gain the permanent trait, Origin Level Monster Affinity plus 1, all attributes plus 10. Chapter 20, the first member of the Blood Cell Potion Shop. Dr. Awesome. That huge baby head emitted a delicate voice. Those two enormous eyeballs focused on Lin. I won't eat you anymore. Trust in you plus 40. Lin adjusted his monocle, performed a perfect 90-degree bow, and revealed a professionally dazzling smile. The praise from customers is always our strongest motivation to move forward. May I ask if you would like to experience our shop's latest dental care service? Lin blinked. Finally, a super monster who actually liked him. If he didn't quickly build a connection and turn it into a returning customer, wouldn't that be just plain stupid? Dental care service? The monster's voice sounded curious. Lin smiled and said, "Yes. Our shop can provide you with long-term dental maintenance. We can eliminate any type of oral disease and keep your teeth clean and healthy for a long time, preventing toothaches, mouth ulcers, tooth loss, and other abnormal symptoms." Lin spoke seriously. "How about trying it first? If you're satisfied after the experience, then you can decide whether to become our long-term member." That huge baby head seemed to be thinking. Then Lin received an affirmative reply. "Ding, you have triggered a new quest. Help. Take care of their teeth. Quest reward, 50 skeleton coins, favorability toward you plus 50, Arabic wow exactly. This is the effect I want. Travel often in other worlds, and you gain more friends and more paths. If you don't cultivate a good relationship with a monster of this level, then you really must have a screw loose." Wait a moment. Without a word, Lin sprinted back into the shop, grabbed various cleaning tools he usually used for chores, then rushed back to the monster's mouth and began cleaning the scattered limbs stuck between its teeth. Ding, you obtained unknown creatures' severed arms X15. Ding, you obtained strange organs X54. Ding, you obtained broken skull pieces X31. Ding, you obtained gold X132G. Ding, you obtained superior enchanted armor damaged. Zone. The more Lin cleaned, the more shocked he became. Because this was basically a treasure trove. After thoroughly cleaning the various severed limbs inside the monster's mouth, under the curious gaze of that eyeball, Lin quickly dashed to his shop's warehouse, brought bucket after bucket of materials, and swiftly mixed them in the middle of the hall. "What is this?" The eyeball radiated curious light. Lin stirred the gooey liquid inside a large bucket with a wooden stick and explained, "This is slime secretion from a dark slime, which produces lots of foam. Then there's soapberry, which has sterilizing and refreshing effects, plus my teacher's special whitening and wound cleaning medicine. It can keep your teeth bright and fresh for a long time, and your breath will be fresh. Trust in you plus 20? Awesome." That eyeball nodded blankly up and down. Although it didn't fully understand, it was absolutely impressive. Soon, the Dark World brand toothpaste was ready. Lin took a large brush from the backyard, carried a bucket bubbling with foam, jumped into the monster's mouth, and started his diligent brushing work. "Can I help?" The eyeball watched Lin's brushing curiously and even seemed eager to try. Because this was truly very novel. "Here." Lin generously pulled out a bunch of small brushes from the shop. The tentacles immediately imitated Lin's actions, each grabbing a brush, curiously dipping it in the paste, brushing while rotating their eyeballs to look around, copying Lin's movements. "Brush like this first, then like this, and then like this. Oh, trust in you plus 10. Also, clean the dirt between the teeth so as to prevent infections. Oh. Trust in you plus 10. They brushed continuously for a whole hour. Ding, you completed the quest. You received 50 skeleton coins. Favorability toward you plus 50. Hearing the system notification, Lin, drenched in sweat, put down the brush, sat on the steps, and showed a satisfied smile after hard work. Compared to before, doesn't your whole mouth feel refreshed and renewed? Ding, the shiny white teeth reflected dazzling light. That eyeball revealed a shining expression. It was completely different from before when the mouth was bloody and full of yellow teeth. The cleanliness was as bright as if it had just been born. Having such shining teeth would really make anyone's appetite explode no matter what they chew. Are you satisfied with this service? Yes. Would you like to become a lifetime member of our shop? You can come at any time for free dental cleaning. Yes. May I ask your name? I'd like to register it. Next time you come, you can receive a specially made golden membership card and a small gift from our shop. What is a name? It's the name other beings call you. I don't have a name. How about I give you one for free? Okay, ding. You have successfully given a true name to the origin level monster. Xia Xiao. You received a special achievement, Origin Namer. Origin Namer. As the first human in the history of the Dark World to name an origin-level monster and have it happily accept the name, you have made history. The host permanently gains Origin Monster Affinity +1, Monster Affinity +10, Temporary Curse Removal Ability Zone. Thank you for visiting the shop. We look forward to your next visit. Lin bowed a perfect 90 degrees toward the origin-level monster happily hopping away, showing off its shining teeth, heading to the end of the street. He smiled the whole time, watching that ultimate monster leave. Lin immediately rushed into the potion shop, grabbed a hammer and nails, and banged loudly to nail the door shut completely. He stared wide-eyed, pressing his wildly beating heart. Only then did he fully relax. Although everything looked very harmonious, as a human facing such a terrifying monster, not being scared would be a lie. Fortunately, my psychological resilience is solid, otherwise, there's no way I could have survived this night. Lin sighed with relief, wiping sweat from his forehead. But luckily, with his excellent eloquence and medical skills, he successfully earned the favor of that origin-level monster. Lin knew very well, in this dark world, origin-level monsters were basically like max-level bosses in online games. Any one of them appearing was not something an ordinary monster could withstand. And it doesn't feel like just one. Lin stared wide-eyed, trying to calm his heartbeat. Because it was obvious that Demon Hunter definitely came along with these origin-level monsters. But since he never showed up in Wandering Souls Alley, it meant there were other powerful, high-danger monsters around that area. Fortunately, this time he encountered a benevolent origin monster he could communicate with. Otherwise, his fate would have been the same as those steel puppets that got squashed immediately. Sure enough, having a skill can sometimes be a life-saving measure. Lin murmured. After all, technical specialists were always the most welcomed no matter where they were placed. Chapter 21, Limited Time Curse Removal Ability. System, open the panel. Lin, level, 5 race, human strength, 17 agility, 18 intelligence, 21 constitution, 20 available points, 8 origin monster affinity, 2 monster affinity, 10 skeleton coins, 2051 reputation, 34 description. The insane and deranged apprentice of the Bloodsaw Potion Shop, who once brought immense suffering to a top-tier demon hunter. The shop has a slight reputation among origin-level monsters, but that still cannot change his perverted and insane nature. Ignoring the slander in the description. After this day's baptism, his overall level had risen to level 5. Meanwhile, all his basic skills had received a massive boost. Lin exhaled. Without hesitation, he allocated all 8 available points to Constitution. His Constitution immediately surged to 28 points, and the exhaustion from the entire night was quickly wiped away thanks to the Constitution allocation. Allocating points into Constitution was truly a helpless choice. After all, he was not a combat profession right now. Facing those high-level monsters daily, strength and agility were completely useless. As for intelligence, in his understanding, it should improve comprehension and insight of certain tools and phenomena. But he didn't need that at the moment. Good health was the king. In this strange world, you might get infected with some terrifying thing and lose your life in the blink of an eye. Even if not, long-term survival in this dark world inevitably weakens your constitution. After distributing his points, Lin immediately opened the reward the system had just given him. Limited Time Curse Removal Ability. You can select one curse on the target and remove it for 24 hours. Can only clear one target at a time. Cooldown, 12 hours. Lin's eyes lit up instantly. Curse removal. Although it wasn't permanent, Lin immediately thought of one of its uses. That was the revolver he got from the demon hunter. If he could remove the curse on that gun, then he would truly own a legendary self-defense weapon. Without further ado, Lin immediately pulled out the revolver from his box. Curse removal? Lin stretched out his hand and shouted. Instantly, wisps of thick, black, sticky aura slowly seeped out from the silver revolver, accompanied by sharp, piercing howls. The next moment, under Lin's gaze, the sticky aura rapidly retreated and was suppressed. Ding, you have completed one limited time curse removal. Cooldown, 12 hours. Ding, you have obtained a curse entry, 100% miss. Remaining time, 24 hours. With the system's notification, Lin grinned, revealing a set of creepy teeth. Click, he gripped the revolver tightly. Although it only lasted 24 hours, at critical moments, this gun could definitely exert tremendous power. Lin turned and aimed at a bottle on the corner of the table. Pulled the trigger. Bang, a silver bullet shot out instantly. It successfully hit the wall. Bang, bang, Lin fired several more shots in a row, but none hit the bottle. System, the ability you gave me is fake, right? I removed the curse, so why is my accuracy still so low? Ding, your firearm mastery is 0. Lin stared blankly and decisively ignored the system's explanation. But soon he fell into deep thought. It seemed that if he really wanted to use this gun in battle, he still needed a long period of gunplay practice. After all, only with deep skill can an iron rod be ground into a needle. A quick shooter isn't made overnight. After understanding this, Lin's enthusiasm soared. He placed that empty bottle by the window and stood 10 meters away. Aiming, firing, bang, miss. Bang, basic firearm mastery +1, bang, miss, bang, you hit a level 75 monster, night scavenger. You gained +10 experience. Lin, on the wooden windowsill, a bullet hole about the thickness of a finger appeared, and from the street far below came a series of chilling long howls. Who is it? Which damn bastard is sneaking up on me? Lin rushed to the windowsill, removed the wooden board, replaced it with a new one, hammered it in, and then dashed back to his attic, dove under his blanket, and buried his head, soundly sleeping. Smooth and effortless. Ding, you completed the mission, Sleepless Night. You gained 500 skeleton coins, level +1. Ding, you survived your first night after awakening the system. You had a fulfilling and satisfying day, served customers 5 times, killed 1 monster, injured 1 monster, and caused great psychological shadows to multiple patients. You felt the richness and openness of life. Ding, you have successfully leveled up to 6. You have unlocked the daily shop exchange system. It refreshes daily. You can exchange skeleton coins for corresponding goods. Ding, friendly reminder. After level 10, you will be able to choose a profession for your first job transfer. Stay tuned. Lin suddenly opened his eyes from the moldy bed. The huge spider webs on the beams above still reminded him relentlessly. This was not a dream. He was still in the dark world. This was now the 2 years and 1 day he had survived. SSS slip, one by one, thick sticky tentacles brushed across his cheeks and neck, while inside the blanket came bubbling foam sounds. His body was covered everywhere with various forms of sticky liquid. Lin's SAN value -1, he took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He grabbed the silver revolver by his bedside, reached under the blanket, and fired 3 shots downward. Miss, ding, your firearm mastery +1, ding, evil blood infant's parasitism on you failed. Your fear level +20, Lin abruptly threw off the blanket. In an instant, a bunch of black tentacles like octopus arms exploded out from under his blanket, writhing and scattering. At this moment, the monster with a cute baby face was lying on his stomach, looking dazed. Those countless tentacles were twisted growths wildly sprouting from its body. Sure enough, it broke down again. Lin glared. No wonder he had felt all night like something was trying to crawl into his body. SSS slip. He had actually spent the whole night hugging an octopus monster. Lin opened its panel. Evil blood infant juvenile, race, evil spirit attribute, chaotic evil level, 10 description. A ghost spirit condensed from resentment and ghost energy, further absorbing large amounts of sacrificial blood essence to form the evil blood infant. Once fully formed, it will devour the host's soul and flesh, gradually growing stronger and turning into a disaster. P.S. Due to a huge psychological shadow on a certain person, its aggressiveness towards that person is drastically reduced. Lin, at the same time, the system notification rang in his ears. Ding. Due to the evil blood infant's fear level of 1,321 towards you and your taming level exceeding 200, you have triggered a special mission. Blood infant growth. Chapter 22. Raising the evil blood infant at home. Mission introduction. The evil blood infant has reached level 10, entering its first shaping phase. This phase of plasticity will determine the infant's future growth direction and personality. Since you played a significant role in the infant's early development, you have gained the qualification to perform preliminary adjustments on it. Mission objective: complete the first phase shaping of the blood infant. Mission reward: evil blood infant taming plus 50, base experience plus 200. Lin was utterly baffled. You could even trigger a mission like this? He carefully read through the mission introduction. He roughly understood the task's requirements. At the same time, he felt a shocking awe at how fast the evil blood infant's growth rate was. Because it had only been less than a day, yet it had already soared to level 10. And the corruption was severe. Besides the face he had sculpted yesterday, the rest of the body was already completely filled with wildly growing tentacles. System: what will happen if I let it develop like this unchecked? Ding. The target is an evil spirit. The massive resentment inside will continuously alter its external features. If left unchecked, the target will gradually distort into an extremely evil creature, causing great malice to the host. Lin. So basically, before the infant is fully formed, he must constantly suppress its resentment. If she stops fearing him, she will kill him. Looks like he really ran into a major disaster. In that case, I'll continue adjusting you properly today. Lin cracked his knuckles, his face full of seriousness. He reached out his hand, lifted the back of the infant's neck that carried her fate. One by one, the tentacles hung limp and lifeless. Due to the enormous fear value accumulated against Lin yesterday, she had no desire to resist at all in front of him. It's like when you're terrified of someone, you become very obedient. Blood infant's confusion toward you +1. She blankly stared at this terrifying human holding her up, her hazy consciousness making her a little anxious about what might happen next. What is he going to do? Could it be he wants to cruelly twist her face into a strange shape like yesterday? And at the next moment, Lin grabbed 2 thick, slippery tentacles on her body, his expression serious, then instantly pulled, kneaded, and pressed them as if kneading dough. Blood infant, evil blood infant's fear toward you +20. You're still too disobedient. You can't just randomly grow so many strange tentacles without the doctor's permission. This is extremely unhealthy for a child's growth. Lin tied knots on those restless tentacles one after another. Brush, 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 he forcibly pressed them back. Let Uncle Lin fix your appearance again. Blood infant, evil blood infant's fear toward you +20. Ding. You have completed the juvenile shaping of the evil blood infant, greatly influencing her morphological development. More than half an hour later, Lin looked satisfied at the evil blood infant placed on the table in front of him, her expression blank. Yesterday he had only shaped her face, but today's full service left Lin extremely pleased with his handiwork. Pink, chubby cheeks, plump little hands, a porcelain doll-like little girl. If this were in the human world, she would definitely catch the eyes of countless mothers and be irresistibly loved as a healthy and perfect human infant. Of course, because there were too many corrupted tentacles, even in the end, many tissues remained. So Lin slightly adjusted one part on her body. Lin stretched out his finger, tapped the small and cute beast ears on her head. Arabiquow super cute, right? Keep this shape, don't let it corrupt recklessly anymore. Lin earnestly instructed. Only like this can you grow up healthily and become a little girl loved by everyone, got it? The evil blood infant's expression was blank. Ding! The evil blood infant's preliminary form has been confirmed, initiating preliminary personality and growth direction calibration. Ding! Data processing started. Data processing complete. Lin was stunned. At the next moment, a panel appeared before him. Evil blood infant. Personality direction. Cunning, resentful, killing psychological traits. Twisted, corrupted, morbid growth direction. An indescribable multi-armed monster. A twisted, vengeful spirit that brings fear and disaster. A malevolent ghost spreading disaster and slaughter. So this could be adjusted too? Lin pondered. After a casual glance, Lin resolutely shook his head. This growth direction was way too extreme. As expected from the dark world, it completely doesn't guide people toward good. Lin decisively began adjusting. A few minutes later, evil blood infant. Personality direction. Sweet, obedient, killing psychological traits. Virtuous, cute, morbid growth direction. An adorable little lowly who brings happiness and peace, a beautiful girl spreading disaster and slaughter. System, can I adjust the traits after each entry? I only managed to adjust a half-finished product. Ding. Host permissions insufficient. Only 2 traits per category can be adjusted in the first phase. I see. Lin thought for a moment, then a satisfied smile appeared on his face. He clapped his hands and said, "Then let's leave it like this for now. When you reach the next phase, I'll remove those last 3 negative traits. Then you'll be a perfect little girl." Confirmed. Ding, you have completed the mission. Blood infant growth, you have gained rewards. Blood infant taming plus 50, base experience plus 200. Ding. First phase adjustment complete. The evil blood infant will enter a period of slumber to complete preliminary correction and shaping. After practicing gunplay for half an hour, Lin got up. As usual, he grabbed a broom and began his daily cleaning work. Ding. Housework skill experience plus 1. After finishing cleaning, Lin picked up the soul lamp, carefully lit the tinder with a firestone, then opened the door to start business, hanging the soul lamp on the door pillar. Just like yesterday, outside the door was still a thick fog. Nothing could be seen within 10 steps. He placed the blood infant on the counter and sat down, planning to carefully check out the system's new functions. System. Open the shop. He couldn't touch the normal shop income, but he had accumulated 2551 skeleton coins through missions, definitely a big spender now. Ding, shop interface opened. Item 1. Highly toxic slime mucus x 10 kg, 50 coins. Item 2. Fortune cat doll that attracts misfortune zone 20 coins. Item 3. Baby diapers tight fit, x 10 packs, 50 coins. Item 4. Flesh growth potion recipe, special edition, 500 skeleton coins. Item 5. Blood demon meat chunks x5 10 skeleton coins. Item 6. Passion succubus perfume zone bottle, 500 skeleton coins. After viewing the items for sale, Lin shot up with a sharp whoosh, glaring, and said, "System, are you sure this is what you want to sell me?" Chapter 23. There's not a single normal person in this world. That's right. He originally held extremely high expectations for the system shop. After all, in the novels he had read before transmigrating, anything produced by a system was guaranteed to be top quality. Superhuman bloodlines, 9-tailed fox cubs, star-destroying battleships, cute maid girls. If you could imagine it, the system definitely sold it. But looking at his own system, someone unfamiliar might think it was just a junk collector. Because at a glance, there was basically nothing useful at all. System, refresh the goods. Ding, this function is currently unavailable. Please be patient, automatic refresh occurs daily at 5 o'clock. Lin took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, and sat back down. All right then. Although it was completely the opposite of what he expected, at least it was another way to source supplies, right? Deadly slime liquid? Bought. Maybe it could be used to brew some deadly potions later. Skeleton coins minus 50. A lucky cat doll that brings misfortune? What use does this thing have? Does it expect me to think I'm lucky enough to buy it and invite trouble? Bought, maybe it can be a gift sometime. Skeleton coins minus 200. Baby diapers, tight version? Lin instinctively glanced at the mascot ghost baby he had placed on the counter. It grows so fast, and now that he had shaped it into a humanoid form, it wasn't good for it to be completely naked. Bought, this might actually be useful. Skeleton coins minus 50. Lin put the diaper over its head. Immediately, Lin's attention was drawn to the 4th item. Flesh regeneration potion formula. After taking the potion, injury recovery speed is greatly increased. Required materials: blood demon meat chunk, non-attribute slime mucus, tyrant flower, carnivorous plant growth hormone. This formula was the only decent item among the goods the system was selling. It even came with the hard-to-get material blood demon meat chunk. This item was absolutely worth more than the price. Skeleton coins minus 500. Skeleton coins minus 100. Without hesitation, Lin pocketed these 2 items. Together with the critical hit potion rewarded by the system yesterday, he now had exclusive formulas for 2 potions in hand. Lin wasn't in a rush to brew them. As a potion shop owner, merchants regularly brought all kinds of raw materials to supply the shop. And by his calculations, that time was today. Lin immediately prepared his skeleton coins and packed the large amount of severed limbs he had dug out from the mouth of that origin-level monster yesterday. Outside the door, fog hung thick and black mist swirled. Lin patiently waited at the entrance. Slowly, from the darkness of the street, came the creaking sound of wheels and footsteps. A kindly yet eerie old lady carrying a human skin lantern appeared in his view and stopped in front of the potion shops. "Young man, got any useless trash to give this old lady?" Ding, you triggered a task, useless trash too. Task rewards, 50 skeleton coins, base experience plus 100, scavenger's favorability plus 50, special reward zone. Yes! Hearing the system task pop up, Lin's heart soared with joy. He agreed very quickly, then hurried back inside and laboriously dragged out a large sack. "Young man, you have this much trash to deal with?" The old lady's smile seemed to brighten considerably. Lin politely said, "Yes, Grandma, do you want me to help put it on the cart?" "Good, good, really troublesome for you, young man." The old lady's smile was exceptionally kind. Lin heaved that huge bag of trash onto the cart pulled by the scavenger. At the moment he put it down, the old lady's smile instantly stiffened. Origin level. Aura, her face twisted in strangeness, and a flash of shock passed through her cloudy eyes. She immediately felt the tremendous weight and oppressive force coming from the cart. Her gaze toward Lin became especially astonished. "Human skin scavenger's suspicion toward you plus 10. Lin smiled. "Maybe it's a little contaminated. Last night, I checked the teeth of a customer and cleaned out useless stuff from its mouth. I thought you might need it, so I kept it for you." The old lady's expression trembled and she said, "You looked into the teeth of an origin-level monster. Aren't you afraid it'll eat you?" Her gaze grew even more astonished, as if she had gained a deeper understanding of the young man before her. Lin laughed cheerfully. "Why be afraid? Serving customers is the principle of our Bloodsaw potion shop. No matter who comes, we treat everyone equally. Human skin scavengers ought toward you plus 10. At that moment, Lin clearly felt the old lady's gaze shift, as if she was looking at a monster. She lowered her voice, emitting hoarse sounds from her throat. "Last night, 3 origin-level abyssal headhunters came here. You probably helped the smallest one. Grandma advises you not to get involved with them, you probably don't know yet. Last night, Slaughter Alley, Evil Soul Street, and Shade Alley next door were completely emptied out by those 3 hunters. 15 high-level demon hunters and magic spirits were half killed." Lin froze in place. "The hunter you met last night was probably planning to feed in Wandering Souls Alley. Looks like because of you, our alley escaped disaster." Lin was stunned. "But I thought that guest yesterday was pretty cute, shouldn't be so vicious, right?" In a brief silence, a breeze passed by. The old lady seemed to have heard something extremely shocking and unbelievable. "Cute, Lin. Yeah, pretty cute. Ding, you have left a deep and indelible impression in the human skin scavenger's heart. Ding, your reputation in Wandering Souls Alley plus 1. Lin wanted to explain more, but the old lady shook her head and murmured, "As expected, there isn't a single normal person in the dark world, especially those who look normal." Lin, ding, congratulations on completing the task. You received 50 skeleton coins, 100 base experience, human skin scavenger's favorability plus 50. Then, under Lin's watchful gaze, the old lady stretched out her withered hand and slowly reached toward her chest. "Young man, what you gave me this time is too precious. I can't digest it all at once. This thing I just scavenged, maybe it will be useful to you." Creak, creak, a bone-chilling sound came. Lin saw the old lady plunge her hand into her own chest cavity and forcibly pull out a still-beating, blood-dripping heart. The heart steamed fiercely, thumping in the air. "Lin's SAN value minus 10. Take it," the old lady said hoarsely with a smile. Chapter 24, Am I Really Beautiful? Heart of the Faceless Demon. Quality, cursed object. Cursed. Can link to the heart of a designated target, but requires a large amount of fresh blood daily for nourishment. Description: every part of a powerful faceless being carries a curse, especially their heart. Once you hear your own heartbeat, be cautious, because it might no longer be your own heart. Lin, the old woman chuckled darkly and sinisterly. If you want someone to die, just think about them in your heart, then use your most malicious methods to deal with this heart. You will gain great pleasure. Ha ha. Lin immediately felt chills down his spine. There really weren't many ordinary things about this old woman. Judging by the effect, this heart was definitely a deadly weapon. However, inevitably, the cost of using it must be enormous soon. The old woman pulled the cart and slowly disappeared into the black mist ahead. Watching the old woman leave, Lin looked at the beating heart in his hand with a strange expression. His bizarre collection was indeed growing more and more. But this trade was definitely not a loss. This scavenger passed by the shop every morning and was undoubtedly a friendly NPC who could reliably exchange various items. When the weekly delivery monsters arrived, Lin paid a large number of skeleton coins and restocked the shop's warehouse. Calculating the time, his teacher was due to return tonight or possibly tomorrow. Returning to the counter, Lin quietly awaited the first customer of the day. Outside, the black mist surged. At that moment, knock, 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 3 knocks came at the door. Lin immediately raised his head, wearing a professional smile, and said, "Welcome." The soul lamp hanging on the doorframe flickered violently. Lin's pupils contracted sharply. Such intense flickering indicated the visitor's level was definitely not low. Outside the door, a woman in a dazzling red evening gown smiled as she stood on the threshold. Wavy curls spilled down her back. She was a captivating woman who seemed to drain you just by a glance. Boss, may business flourish, blood-robed evil spirit, level, faction, chaotic evil combat ability. She will hollow you out bit by bit. Description: a twisted conglomerate wandering the dark world. Never be lured by their beautiful figure, or a nightmare awaits. Lin's mind flashed the woman's status panel. She was holding a covered tray, from which faint aromas of meat wafted. Lin heightened his vigilance but kept his face calm and said, "Hello, may I ask if you're feeling unwell and need treatment?" The blood-robed evil spirit smiled brilliantly. Her bright red lips parted to reveal a row of white, somewhat sinister teeth, giving an indescribably eerie feeling. She flipped her curls seductively, full of charm, and said softly, "I'm not unwell. I just moved to this street this morning, so I wanted to visit my neighbors. You shouldn't be unwelcoming to me, right?" She lightly licked her red lips. Lin San -1. Lin knew very well that in this dark world, the more normal the monster looked, the more dangerous it was. This woman obviously radiated a very ominous aura. "Of course you're welcome." Lin's smile did not waver. At the same time, he secretly placed his revolver and the heart under the counter where he could grab them easily. "Please come in. The Bloodsaw Potion Shop welcomes any friendly neighbor." For such monsters with no obvious level, the soul lamp outside was basically ineffective. If she came with ill intent, no matter how you tried to stop her, it would be impossible. The woman smiled widely and gracefully stepped inside. Almost at the same time, Lin's ears were filled with a system notification. Ding. You have triggered the mission. Survive. Mission objective: maintain your SAN above 0 before the blood-robed evil spirit's hostility toward you reaches 100%. Ensure her hostility does not reach 100%. Last for 30 minutes. Mission reward: 500 skeleton coins, 200 base experience, special reward +1. Lin's heart tightened instantly. As expected, this evil spirit was hostile, and the mission triggered was the terrifying survive, indicating the crisis was on par with last night's. He was very clear that if he did nothing last night, the head hunter would have devoured all the residents of Wandering Souls Alley. It was a massive crisis. What about this woman? She didn't seem like an origin-level monster, but if she wanted to kill him, it would naturally be effortless. "Boss, you don't look like a native here." The woman gracefully sat on the stool in front of the counter, resting her chin on the back of her hand, smiling softly, and gazing at Lin with infinite charm. "Aren't you afraid of being eaten by some unfriendly customers?" One of her fingers lightly traced across Lin's chest. Extremely seductive. Lin San -10, but Lin quickly composed himself. Wearing a professional smile, he swiftly raised the boning knife left by his teacher and said with a smile, "I'm a bit afraid, but a doctor's duty is to heal and save lives. No matter how scared I am, as long as they are my customers, I treat them seriously. That's the principle of being a doctor." Ding, current crisis level 51%. The woman blinked coquettishly, exhaling like a breeze of orchids, and said, "How interesting. What if you're not my customer? What if I want to eat you?" She gently blew a breath on Lin, as if whispering softly in his ear. Ding, current crisis level 61%. Lin remained calm, smiling, and said seriously, Impossible. Sister, you're so beautiful, your heart must be as lovely as your appearance. A beautiful and elegant lady like you would surely dine with the grace and dignity of nobility. Ding, current crisis level 56%. Such a smooth talker. The woman smiled seductively, lightly tracing her lips with her finger, and said, "Do you really think I'm beautiful?" "Of course. Then, do you still think I'm beautiful now?" At that moment, under Lin's gaze, the woman's face slowly cracked open down the middle. She still wore a smile. From the bloody flesh fissure, a row of sharp inverted teeth slowly grew out. One by one, thick, foul-smelling tentacles squeezed through the cracked face. At the same time, a heavy stench of decay and blood spilled from her body. Lin San -30. "Do you still think I'm beautiful now?" From the fissure on the sinister face came sticky, chilling laughter. Ding, current crisis level 81%. Ding, current crisis level 85%. Ding, current crisis level 90%. Slowly, as the crisis level rose sharply, the cracked-faced ghost woman approached Lin's face bit by bit. The sticky, hoarse voice grew closer and closer. "Am I really beautiful?" Gradually, that terrifying visage was less than 5 centimeters from Lin's face. The sticky tentacles and sharp, inverted teeth nearly enveloped him. At this critical moment, Mua Lin kissed her. Chapter 25, It's best not to have any expectations. Silence surrounded them. The female ghost stood there stiffly. Her crisis level, which had soared to 99%, instantly dropped to 50%. "Huh?" The female ghost was dazed. Lin coughed awkwardly and said, "Sorry, sister, you suddenly getting so close like that just made it impossible for me to resist wanting to give you a kiss. Please forgive my rudeness because you are just too much to my aesthetic taste." The female ghost blankly said, "To your aesthetic taste?" Thick, viscous liquid dripped drop by drop from the crack on her face. The bloody tentacles and barbs looked like something straight out of a horror movie. Lin covered his pounding heart with his hand, his cheeks flushed slightly as he said, "That's right. I've admired girls with good teeth and tentacles ever since I was a child." He reached out and grabbed 2 sticky tentacles hanging from that crack, stroking them along with the mucus. "Especially sisters like you, all slimy and sticky, it's like my white moonlight in my heart." The female ghost said blankly, Something was wrong. This human was definitely wrong. Why was he so calm when she showed her perfect, beautiful face, but when she revealed that terrifying visage, he got even more excited. Lin was gently stroking those slimy tentacles beside her with a cute expression. Time seemed to freeze, but at that moment, Lin suddenly stopped moving and furrowed his brows. The female ghost immediately snapped back, narrowing her eyes coldly and sneering, "What's wrong? Don't you like slimy sisters with good teeth?" Crisis level 70%. Lin said seriously, "I noticed something." "Sister, don't you usually neglect oral hygiene?" The female ghost blankly said, "None of your business." Lin suddenly stood up and said solemnly, "That's a mistaken way of thinking. As a beautiful lady, how can you allow any flaws? I think you really need a delicate grooming session, and I am exactly the kind of professional who's very skilled at grooming others." The female ghost said blankly, A few minutes later. Lin looked satisfied as he gazed at the female ghost, who now had a shining, pristine set of white teeth. He took out a small bottle of breath-freshening potion and sprayed it onto her teeth with a hiss. "Do you feel like your breath has suddenly become much fresher now?" Lin took out a mirror, smiling brightly as he held it up in front of her. Looking at the barbs inside the shining crack on her face and the fresh tentacles, her expression was blank. In fact, during those few minutes, her brain was basically frozen. Because something was off. This development was absolutely nothing like she had imagined. It was one thing that he wasn't afraid, but he even looked so excited to give her an oral care session. Is that a normal human reaction? Normally, she should have screamed in terror immediately and then fled like a madwoman. Something was wrong. This human was definitely wrong. Crack, crack, crack. The woman stretched out her hand, forcefully closing the crack on her face, restoring her previous alluring human older sister appearance. Smack, she slammed the counter and said coldly, "Don't give me any slick talk. I'm here on business. Tell me, did you perform surgery on a pig-headed demon yesterday?" Crisis level 71%. Lin thought for a moment and said, "Yes." The female ghost narrowed her eyes and sneered, "You operated on him and even pulled a baby out of his stomach, didn't you?" In Lin's mind, the ghost baby immediately appeared. "May I ask who you are?" The female ghost said with murderous intent. "I am her mother." Lin, this was absolutely unexpected by Lin, because there was no way he could connect that chaotic ghost baby with the female ghost in front of him. Lin widened his eyes and said, calm down, I'm just curious. How could a beautiful lady like you be interested in that pig-headed demon? And even if so, shouldn't it be your child?" The woman sneered coldly. "Don't pretend to be ignorant. You know exactly what's going on. He should have told you, about a month ago, he ate a little ghost. Unluckily, that little ghost was part of me that fell out. Since it has taken form, I am her mother." Lin. Lin forcibly calmed his emotions and cautiously asked, "So, madam, you came here too?" The woman sneered and licked her crimson lips. "Of course, to take back my own child. If I'm right, my child has now formed into a disaster monster, hasn't it?" Lin's eyes widened as he backed away step by step. "Well, how should I put it?" At that moment, the woman's face suddenly cracked open again, and thick bloody mucus flowed down her whole body. Countless tentacles spread wildly from her hair, and her slender hands cracked as one eye after another grew. She sneered and stepped closer to Lin, saying, "Killing, malice, resentment, evil, my child possesses all the delightful qualities I have. Since it was born, it must become a qualified hunter, bringing disaster and nightmares to everyone." Crisis level 81%. Crisis level 91%. Lin trembled as he backed up, pressed against the medicine cabinet behind him with nowhere to retreat. "Madam, wait a moment. How can you be sure that baby is your child? If you want to take it away, I think the pig-headed demon should come here to verify in person." Lin desperately tried to buy time. The woman sneered. "Verify? Fine. I'll have him verify with you now." With a roar, she suddenly opened her huge bloody mouth wide and began to regurgitate in bursts. A slimy pig head immediately dropped onto the counter. Plop, the pig head, almost corroded clean, stared straight at Lin. Lin recognized it at once as the pig-headed demon he operated on yesterday. "Lin, San -20, San -20. Eat." The pig-headed demon had actually been eaten by this female ghost. "Hand over my child immediately." The woman sneered and stepped closer, countless tentacles surging around Lin. "Maybe then I'll consider sparing your life." Lin's back was against the wall as he said seriously, "Hand it over, of course, it's just, well, your child might be a little different from what you imagine." But just then, from behind the curtain, small footsteps suddenly sounded. Lin's heart skipped a beat. The female ghost immediately lifted her head, sensing the presence, and a cold sneer appeared on her face as she said, "Looks like my child has already heard the sound and is coming, hee." She stopped paying attention to Lin. Turning to face the curtain, countless tentacles wildly surged around her. The smile on her face became even more chaotic and twisted. "Just in time for me to see what my child has become now. An indescribable twisted form, or a forbidden evil ghost writhing with malice. I'm really looking forward to it. Ha ha ha." Lin swallowed hard and glared. "Madam, I think you'd better not get your hopes up. Because, Chapter 26, she can't possibly be my daughter." And in the very next moment, the cloth curtain of the back room was slowly drawn aside. Then they saw a completely pink, chubby infant yawning and stumbling out drowsily from the back room. A pair of fluffy ears drooped on her head, looking dazed and bleary-eyed. Pink and tender, fuzzy and soft, utterly adorable. The female ghost's expression instantly froze in place, becoming as motionless as a statue. An eerie silence spread recklessly throughout the surroundings. "Who is she?" the female ghost asked numbly. Lin coughed and said seriously, "She's the infant pig-headed demon gave birth to yesterday. Quite cute, isn't she?" Buzz, the female ghost's gaze went completely vacant. She subconsciously extended long tentacles from her body, slowly reaching toward the little girl. After getting close, she quickly severed the tips of her tentacles. As the tentacle pieces fell to the ground, the severed tentacle rapidly coiled around the little girl's leg like a small snake, then almost effortlessly seeped inside. Perfect fusion. Not even the slightest rejection reaction occurred. The female ghost shuddered, her gaze gradually becoming dazed, because this meant the bestiared moe lowly before her was actually the fragment that had fallen from her body a month ago. Which meant to say, this was her own daughter. But this had to be some kind of joke. She trembled, because according to normal development, the malicious fragment that fell from her body, even if it took form, would definitely become an incredibly twisted monster. A chaotic and corrupted evil spirit from birth, an utterly wicked existence. Killing, malice, resentment, evil, so why did this child feel completely unrelated to evil corruption? Lin looked at the expressionless, mentally crashed female ghost and quietly asked, "System, explain." Ding, the evil blood infant has completed initial transformation. According to the host's previous settings, correct worldview and values have been adjusted. The evil blood infant is currently in infancy stage. Then an introduction for the evil blood infant appeared before Lin's eyes. Evil blood infant infancy stage. Level 10. Alignment. Chaotic good introduction. Originally an evil spirit juvenile born from malice and resentment, but due to someone's interference, its growth direction has changed, becoming seemingly not so evil and corrupt. Current taming level, 351. Current fear level, 591. Lin, attention! With a jolt, the previously drowsy, shuffling little girl immediately stood at perfect attention as if conditioned by reflex. Snap, her two little feet snapped together, body straightened perfectly, eyes wide open staring straight ahead. The little one executed perfect attention stance. Left face! The little infant immediately turned, standing ramrod straight, facing Lin with a full expression. The little tail behind her wagged swish-swish. Clearly, the psychological trauma and taming level from before her formation were already carved into her bones. Lin, so obedient. Seems this must be what maxed-out taming looks like. This doesn't look good. The female ghost stared blankly at this scene, feeling her entire worldview collapsing. Lin walked over, scooped up the little girl, brought her close to the female ghost, and said seriously, "Madam, she truly is a very healthy daughter. If you confirm this is your child, you can adopt her from me anytime." Then Lin poked the little girl's soft, sticky cheek, saying, "Little one, say mommy. Mommy." The little girl blinked, seemingly also sensing that strange connection between herself and the female ghost before her. She leaned closer. Sluip stuck out her tongue and gave a lick on the female ghost's face, leaving a small wet trail. Female ghost, San -10, San -10. "Impossible, she can't possibly be my daughter," she murmured vacantly, feeling her worldview and outlook on life both suffering massive impacts. Because she was an aggregate of evil spirits, a malformed evil spirit twisted from countless malice and hatred. The daughter formed from a fragment that fell from her body should only be more twisted and monstrous than her. Trembling, she came back to her senses and looked into the child's eyes. Crack, she felt something shatter inside her. Purity. She actually saw purity in those eyes. An evil spirit's eyes actually containing something as terrifying as purity. This absolutely wasn't a quality a normal dark creature should possess. "Maybe it's just disguise," she muttered to herself. "Just like how I often transform into beautiful women to lure prey. Yes, that must be it. Beneath this pure appearance must hide an evil and twisted soul," she muttered, finding reasons for herself. Sluip, the little girl, stood on tiptoes and left another wet trail on her face, eyes full of sweetness. Clearly, she had also sensed the intimate relationship between herself and the female ghost before her. The little girl lifted her head and affectionately rubbed her forehead against the female ghost. "Yada," Buzz, the female ghost, went blank. The understanding she'd barely managed to build just now shattered into pieces with a crack. "San -10, San -10. This shouldn't be," the female ghost said numbly. "Normally, the evil spirit fragment that fell from me should have transformed into a twisted being. How could?" She suddenly turned, her malicious and furious gaze instantly landing on Lin. Countless tentacles pointed at Lin with a rustling sound. "You did this!" Ding, threat level 91%, seeing she was about to attack him. Lin widened his eyes and decisively raised the adorable ghost infant in his arms as a shield. Instantly, the female ghost's vision was filled again by the swaying moe baby. Sluip, the ghost infant, stuck out her tongue and licked the tip of a tentacle before her. Yada ding, threat level 71%. Ding, threat level 61%. Ding, threat level 51%. The female ghost screeched while grabbing her head on the verge of complete breakdown. "Impossible, she can't be my daughter. Absolutely impossible. This kind of collapsing emotion was completely beyond ordinary understanding. Like a soul that considers itself utterly ugly and filthy, suddenly having a child possessing pure, kind-hearted, and other beautiful qualities. This was absolutely unacceptable for an ugly, evil spirit. Ding! Host has triggered mission. Evil spirit mommy. Mission introduction. Make the target accept that the blood infant is indeed her daughter, while eliminating the target's malice toward the host. Mission reward. Skeleton coins X300, basic EXP, plus 100, blood-robed evil spirit favorability plus 50. Lin, this system really seizes every opportunity to stuff you with all kinds of strange missions. But whether he could eliminate this evil spirit's malice toward him indeed could only start from this child. Lin cleared his throat, adjusted his monocle, and said seriously, "Big sis, please calm down first. Since you came to me looking for your child, that means you must care deeply about your child. In that case," Lin held up the Moe baby in his arms. "Shouldn't you feel happy seeing such a cute and healthy daughter?" Lin said hesitantly. The female ghost laughed coldly in anger, forcibly suppressing her rage, saying, "Heth, then let me ask you, if you saw your own child looking like a ghost, would you be happy?" Lin was taken aback, saying, "Shouldn't I be happy?"